It's the final Friday before the official Easter weekend, so we're counting down again to another holiday. We like holidays in this country, and I'm not even complaining. Good morning and welcome to Breakfast Central. I am Olive, MOD.
And I'm Joe Hansen, saying good morning to you. Well, I'm taking it calm this morning for very good reasons, because today's conversations would be one that would, whether you like it or not, make you think and wake you up. Starting from the wake-up conversations that we are about to have now, down to the lineup of guests that we have. In case you're wondering who's going to join us today on a Friday, well, I'm just going to tell you to go on our socials and find out. We do have the posters there for you, and get prepared and set to have a fantastic time, especially when it comes to conversations that we are about to have. And I must say this, we got this compliment from a friend who said, Breakfast Central anchors, you guys look absolutely amazing.
Wow, thank you. There's a lot that goes behind it.
Thank you. Thank you.
From our DNAs to our fashion sense.
If you didn't, they
humble.
Wow.
Yeah, good to know. I'm Benga Bro. Welcome to Breakfast Central. Like Joe said, this is the place to be. I mean, this Friday is particularly exciting because of the sorts of conversations we'll be having. You will be able to relate with us from the beginning up until the end. So we have a 3-hour bumper package for you. So sit back, relax, call your friends, call your family members, and tune in to DSTV channel 422.
When you told them that we have a bumper-packed package, and you told them to sit back, I thought you were going to say, we have a bumper-packed package, so follow us bumper to bumper.
You're too wise. On a Friday, I think you're in the mood of nightclub.
I don't do such.
I don't know how I managed to do that. I just tried. To be honest, guys,
it's too early in the morning. 7:03 and you are thinking of nightclub. You want to do that dance?
Please, this place is not a nightclub.
What dance will you be dancing tonight?
I don't go to nightclubs.
But do you know that dance?
Which dance? I don't know what you're speaking about.
That dance.
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't go to
We'll take it offline.
I don't go to
nightclubs. You don't go to nightclub?
No.
Anyway, we just have to relieve ourselves of the stress and all the problems that we have to deal with once in a while. By the way, did you know that even your broadcasters and your journalists need some time off to actually rework
human beings,
memories? Yeah,
exactly.
You know,
it's why some of us, when we go on holiday, we don't watch anything that concerns news.
Yes, you take a break from the news because sometimes it could be depressing. But here on Breakfast Central, we ensure that we have a mix and a balance so that you don't get too much of, and then also get an extra of what you shouldn't be getting. But talking about extra, let's start off with a rather interesting story on our wake-up conversations. We're going to start from the bottom to the top. We hear that a certain controversial musician in Nigeria is planning to go into the boxing ring with an international and highly respected boxer, a Nigerian, by the way, talking about the one who has won bouts. And he's, just a few days ago, he was seen running
just outside Banana Island.
Outside Banana Island, not in Oshodi or CMS or somewhere in the Egbetokun. But of course, in Banana Island, where he was, running around trying to get his fitness back.
Do you by any chance mean Okikiola? What's that his first name? I forgot his surname.
Habib.
Habib. Is it Habib Okikiola?
Okikiola, but the person that was jogging is an internationally recognized
But this Habib says he wants to fight him if they would give him 100 million.
I mean, just look at that picture.
Just look at that picture.
Is that not a suicide mission? Would he leave alone?
I will fight Anthony Joshua for 100 million naira, according to Portable.
I don't blame all of you people. You are using Anthony Joshua.
Let's take a look at this, Olive, before you add your thoughts.
Yeah. Okay.
Take a look at this.
All right.
Zakato Zari, ẹ má pè mí kí wá lọ jà, owó ni kò pè mí kí wá lọ gbà. You do àwa Naija, the offer we una bring this time is small. Number one, na say make I come fight. I know they fight again. Na money I dey look for. Ẹ ṣáà ti gbé mo sì wọṣọ boxing náà. Kò tí rẹ̀ mí o, but owó ni mò ń wá. Now as I dey like this, na only that guy who na say make I fight, you no blow use me na. Spirituality go blow. You wan use me promote in show ni.
So just in case people are wondering which guy he was talking about, the guy he was meant to fight with is Speed Darlington, aka Speedy Baba. But he has said No, this is that's definitely not speed
Yeah,
dilating.
that's what he fought first.
Yes, Charles
Okay, but he now said he wants to fight.
speed.
He was supposed to fight speed dilating, but he said speed dilating no blow reach him. Speed dilating is too small for him. It is Anthony Joshua, and I feel very disrespected on behalf of Anthony Joshua. Like, people are using Anthony Joshua to do because
100 million.
a whole Anthony Joshua is who's portable. It's a disrespect. It's an insult.
What I don't like, and I must express my anger. You want to fight Anthony Joshua, that's him, for 100 million naira. Listen, Benga Olive, I will fight Anthony Joshua for 10 million naira.
Wow, Joe, don't sell yourself so
So you're not insulting Anthony
No,
Joshua.
let's go.
You're
that
literally insulting Anthony Joshua.
I just tell him, bro, calm
So
down,
you know why it's paining me? It's because
bro, show love.
you know why it's hurting me? He hasn't had his career has been very interesting in the past few years. So it just feels like they're using him to catch crews, whether we like it or not. Anthony Joshua he's our legend. He's our son, and we're very proud of him.
Is he British or Nigerian?
He's Nigerian.
He's so close to your heart, Olive.
Yeah, I'm very proud of him. He's a Nigerian and he's doing well. Okikiola Abib should stay in his own lane and face his Azuze and leave Anthony Joshua. Please don't interrupt our insult Anthony Joshua. Please let's move away from that story, Jerry.
Anyway, just to lighten things up, let's go to another story now, Binga. Let's go to the bus park.
Yeah, this is quite disturbing. I mean, a female driver was assaulted by an Agbero, and there's so many layers to this conversation. It's the menace of weaponization of Agbero in Lagos State. It's almost like, anyway, let's watch the video.
But let's just warn you that you will be triggered.
Yes.
Viewer discretion advised.
To you.
Everybody that is watching this video now, please, you need to make it viral. Does this supposed to happen to me? Is it because I'm a commercial driver? On my right, you enter my motor. I carry this guy. You know the rich run? For Oriental State. He say they go law school. As I look for me, I see they don't carry my battery. From there, now I come down, go meet them. Say, if you don't drive, I don't take. Wait till why you won't carry my battery to. This one is the last one you carry battery. That's what you want to carry battery. Which battery? This is the battery for here. Where the pack? See the battery. I want to enter to go law school. From back. Now you for carry my battery. From back. Now from there, you just start to beat me. See my face. Me not see my clothes. I stay again. I bet anybody where they watch this video. Me not even come my right. You're supposed to do me like this. You don't make a deal.
This is very sad. This video had come out earlier on, and the reaction is there's an association for female drivers in Lagos State. They've put out a statement that they are not in any way supporting what happened, and they are pushing for justice. They say justice must be served. One thing came to my mind. If not for the tough situation Nigerians have found themselves in, including us, you could hear that lady, well spoken.
Just trying to make ends meet.
She's just trying to make ends meet. But it seems like the Agberos have now gained more power, especially in the state. And one would wonder, if you say Lagos is a smart city, I always have a question to ask regarding that. And I've seen people ask that question many times, especially during election, pre-election.
And it's a valid question.
Yeah, and they say, okay, what would you do if you're coming to say you want to be the state governor? What would you do to the menace to the society, which is the Agberos? What can you do?
They're becoming so emboldened and like
they start beating around the bush. Oh, don't worry, we're going to do this. But guys, I must be honest, it is now worse. Every street, in short, let me shock you. Aside from Agberos collecting money on the road, they now collect money if you have any equipment in your car. Whether you're moving, if you're moving houses,
Have you tried moving houses?
they will wait for you. You pay. They will see you on the road. You're moving houses. Where are you taking the load to? Owo Kini, Owo this.
So you pay from the Agberos where you're moving out from, then the Agberos on the road.
On the road.
Then the Agberos for where you are going.
Where you are going to.
And
when did we normalize this sort of
and
nonsense?
the people will be like, oh, no, it depends on where you're living. That's a big fat lie. I'm talking about Lekki. Lekki might not be high end, but Lekki is definitely not low end. We're talking the likes of Lekki phase 1. You will pay money.
You will pay
to be able to move your load. And it's just really ridiculous. Coming back to the
What is the
story.
money used for?
Coming back
Because
to
the
the
roads
story.
are bad.
There's another angle to this
Is it
story.
even officially sanctioned?
It's,
So why are they there? What's law enforcement doing?
Omonile.
You can ask the state.
Back to this particular story. There are two layers. First of all, I applaud her. I want to say, well done. Congratulations to you. You are a fighter. We're so proud of you for being able to stand up for yourself. I mean, watching that the man was about to steal her battery, like she said, and being able to apprehend him, even though she realizes he might be physically stronger than her. So well done to this really, really courageous lady. You know, documenting it, even though she'd been abused. That's one angle. Secondly, do you want to tell me that there were no other men there watching what happened? Can we say completely there were no men in this vehicle, there were no men around that could stand up to fight for her? So shame on all the people who stood by and watched this woman get beaten up. If we, as human beings, started calling out other people's bad behaviors, we'll see less things like this. The truth is, he's doing, and I hate to throw in the gender card, but he would have behaved better if this was a man that was driving this bus. He wouldn't have assaulted him the way that, because you know he's your man. You know that
Exactly.
he will beat you or you will beat him. He's a coward.
He's a coward.
For you to see that woman who is trying to defend herself, and the next thing you do is to start to beat her because you want to show that you have more power than her, you are a coward. And the men who stood by, watching whilst that man assaulted her and couldn't fight for her, they are cowards as well, and they should all be ashamed of themselves.
But I trust the Lagos State Government Domestic Violence Unit or the women unit to do something about this. I'm sure they would make a lesson or a scapegoat out of him if it's just this one, so others will learn that you're not supposed to put your hand on any other human being if it's not in self-defense.
Yeah.
And it's not even just about that one, because I know I really just said that the men had a responsibility. I think it's also our I don't care attitude in Nigeria, where you're driving past, waiting concern me, you see somebody having a problem, hey, yeah, we drive past. We have an I don't care spirit. I feel that if we had a more united spirit where we all can collectively with one voice call out bad behavior, there'll be less of all this.
That's disgraceful
Yes.
behavior.
No, that's
should
painful,
tolerate
disgraceful.
that. And thank you for bringing up the point of the men in the vicinity. They should, I mean, why would you see something like that going on? Assaulting a female and then you all stand by and look. It's wrong.
And somebody was even holding camera. You're holding camera to do what?
It's so wrong. The Female Drivers Association of Nigeria, otherwise known as the FIDAN, are outraged and deeply disturbed by the recent incidents, they say. And they're also saying that they urge the public, particularly the licensed operators in the parks and on the road, to join in condemning the evil act. They said they want their women, our women, to be able to perform their duties without fear of harassment and assault. Now, they're making demands. Demands are immediate investigation into incidents of assault and harassment of female commercial drivers in Nigeria, justice and accountability for perpetrators, a safe and supportive environment for women drivers, and so on. And I must use this medium to also say that, I mean, this is a good press release from FIDAN. We hope, like Benga has also highlighted, that the Lagos State government will look into this situation. It shouldn't be swept under the carpet. Most times when I drive, when I see women bus drivers, you know, commercial drivers, I'm always
it's
like,
a thing of joy.
I'm always like, well done. Well done, because it's not because women can't do it. I mean, we have a lady here. We're not saying that women can't do it, because it shouldn't be a case that should be looked at, oh, no, are you trying to say women are not? No. But it's the fact that Lagos is a tough and terrible terrain to engage in that kind of business, because you have to struggle with the Agbe rules, conductors, some people are entering your car, they're not paying, you park, you fight. It's like that you can't be quiet and be a commercial bus driver. That's why most of them are always under the influence, so that they can continue to do. Job. Yeah, it's a tough job. So looking at her, I mean, we sincerely, I mean, our condolences to her in terms of how she's been mistreated, but hopefully, let's hope that we'll get something out of this. All
right, now to a final story. The Senate President, Senator Godswill Akpabio, has petitioned the Inspector General of Police over the allegations made by Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan. Recall that when she addressed her constituents, she did speak about setting allegations of an intention to assassinate, a plot to assassinate her, and that this plot was made to look like it would happen in Kogi State, so that it would seem like her constituents assassinated her. The Senate President, of course, I would say that he did what he needed to do. These were very strong allegations. Regardless of what side of the divide you're on, when you have such strong allegations, saying that someone potentially planned to assassinate you is very strong allegation. So the Senate President is well within his rights to bring up a petition with the Inspector General of Police. Investigation needs to occur, and we hope that the truth comes to light.
I mean, my take on this is the senator, distinguished Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan, in an interview said she's a lawyer, she understands the gravity of the allegations she made, she's a responsible and sensible citizen, and she's also petitioned and put on notice the security operatives on this assassination attempt. I guess both parties would have their day in court, and the court would decide, you know, who's slandering or who's telling the truth in this situation. Like responsible adults should do. Don't take laws into your hands. I mean, law enforcement and the courts are always there to investigate.
Well said. Well said. Most importantly, you've had politicians from different states, you could say a different divide. They've come together and they've said, this issue is taking longer. And I'm starting to also think about it. When I saw the update on this story, I thought to myself, and I said this before, this case could have been done and dusted and sorted. Everybody would have been fine.
The problem is that if you say this case, they will tell you it is not one case.
Yeah.
That it is a changing of seats matter.
One.
That she now use defense of sexual allegation. That is what they will say to you.
Then there's now assassination.
Three.
So
Assassination.
it's
So there are several other
metamorphosized
cases.
into different...
And there are multiple suits. There's the one by Senate President Godswill Akpabio's wife for defamation. There's the one of her, you know, she has her own, her husband has her own against Senator Mweboing. So it's a multiplicity of suits.
It's going back and forth. And we're going to see, I think it's going to, if it's not taken, if it's not handled properly, I'm seeing an implosion within, even internally. Because what this would do is a lot of other people are watching. Remember, in Nigeria, what we're starting to see is, I think we're going with the trend in our political space, where if one person had done something, just like what we see in River State, people are now saying, oh, you know, it's fine. You could go ahead and call a state of emergency. After all, XYZ
you use
did
bad
this,
example to justify.
this person did this, you know, and so on. So if it's not handled, if it's not handled properly, in the near future, or even very soon, we would see something quite similar.
I like the analysis you gave last week, that, I mean, if people have swallowed their egos and just killed it immediately, we won't get here. But unfortunately, we can't rewind time. We've passed that time, and we just have to wait through and let the courts decide on the multiplicity of all the issues on the ground.
A number of suits, really. But we'll follow up with these stories one after the other, and the onus now lies on the court to ensure that justice is not just done, but manifestly seen to be done by all. Let's bring you this morning the top stories that we're going to be looking at. This morning on Breakfast Central, Sowore leads protest, calls for removal of the Inspector General of Police, Egbetokun. And away from that, we'll be joined by Scott Iguma to talk about the housing crisis in Lagos as residents cry out over soaring rent. We'll be looking at the brain drain, shocking statistics as to how many people have exited the healthcare sector and quite frankly exited the country. We'll also be addressing Nigeria's learning crisis, also making reference to some of the injustices that has happened within the education sector. The newspaper front pages will form part of today's show as we do every morning on Breakfast Central. Welcome back. Nigeria's Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun, has assured that those behind what he described as senseless killing in Boko's local government area of Plateau State will face justice. The IGP, speaking through the Deputy Inspector General of Police Force Operations, Zigo Kwazi, when he paid an official visit to Bokos, insists that everything possible will be done to ensure the state is free of such violent attacks. Chizoba Anyowe was there and now completes this report.
Pain, agony, heartbreak, and hopelessness still describe the mood of victims of the 2nd April violent attacks on some communities in Boko's local government area of Plateau State. Synergy between the different security agencies has also been seen in their visits to the victims and affected communities. At a stakeholders' engagement with the locals who still wear a mourning look, Nigeria's police chief, Kayode Egbetokun, assures justice in the tragic incident.
I am therefore here on behalf of the Inspector General of Police and the entire leadership of the force to not only commiserate with you, the grieving families, and the affected communities, but to also bring to you the assurance of the Inspector General of Police that justice for these people that have been killed will not be denied.
IGP Egbetokun says measures have been put in place to forestall a reoccurrence.
The measures has already been put in place. A unit of mobile policemen has already arrived Bokos as directed by the Inspector General of Police. A platoon of the Special Intervention Squad has also arrived Bokos with the equipments combat ready to go after these bandits.
For these victims left to mourn their loved ones, here are their cries.
As I'm speaking to you now, I don't even know the whereabouts of my family up to now. I don't know where they are. Sometimes, you can see the criminal is walking around. Had it been government is taking a decisive action on this one, I think by now, maybe the criminals would have been reduced to a minimum, number.
Each and every youth, make sure he will work together with his own stakeholders. When their stakeholders give them advice, they need to comply with their stakeholders.
In the words of IGP Egbetokun, let this be a turning point, a call for unity, vigilance, and collective resolve to reject violence and build future peace for the generations yet unborn. In Boko's local government area of Plateau State for News Central, Chizoba Anyowe.
Well, it's about time that they get justice, and that's a very interesting report. Let's hope that we would hear good news coming from that area, especially in Jos. Let's tell you another story now very quickly. Olive, Benga, and myself, came across a rather worrying caption, one that's a pressing issue that needs to be tackled in the healthcare sector.
That's right. We saw in the papers yesterday that over 16,000 doctors have left Nigeria in the past 7 years, according to the Minister of Health, Professor Ali Pate. The coordinating Minister of Health, Professor Mohammed Ali Pate, revealed that this mass exodus of healthcare workers that have left the country have now left us with a doctor to patient population ratio of just 3.9 per 10,000, far below the global minimum.
This alarming trend raises critical questions about the state of our healthcare system and its future. The financial cost is also staggering, as training a single doctor costs over $21,000, representing a significant loss of public investment. Join us this morning to discuss this brain drain issue is Dr. John Oladapo, the immediate past president of Resident Doctors and senior registrar Department of Medicine at the University College Hospital in Ibadan. Warm welcome to you, Dr. Oladapo, and thanks for joining us on Breakfast Central.
Thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Now, the obvious first question is, what's the pull factor? Why are doctors leaving Nigeria in their droves? And the numbers are quite staggering and alarming. And I wonder why we haven't declared a state of emergency on doctors on the run.
There are quite a lot of push factors and there are pull factors. And they include job satisfaction for healthcare workers and doctors. They also include the fact that people don't feel that they get what they should earn. And apart from job satisfaction and the fact that the economic factors, social and security issues are part of pull factors, we also have push factors that are push factors rather. We also have pull factors from the different countries in the world where this critical mass of healthcare professionals are in critical need all across the world. So these other countries that are paying more attention to their healthcare needs tend to put up incentives that will draw our best brains to those parts of the world. And then some people also go for better training and improving their skills.
All right, we've seen you've really laid the foundation for that. Some are going for better training. I don't know here in Nigeria if there's anything that we can do differently to ensure that we don't see this mass exodus, because the truth is, unfortunately, when you have conversations with most doctors and nurses, there are people who actually go to study nursing because they're trying to jackpot, they're trying to leave the country. So what can be done here to ensure that, I mean, the population 3.9% to 3.9% to 10,000, it's not an encouraging ratio. So what can we do differently to ensure we don't see a continuous mass exodus of our doctors and our nurses?
As a country, we have to stay competitive. We have to put in factors that would make our best brains want to stay in the country. We are quite patriotic as Nigerians. We have a lot of people who never wanted to leave the country, but in the wake of biting economic conditions, it's been very, very, very difficult to retain our best brains. And you know, even some of the comments you hear in the community online, and you hear disparaging comments like it's because you're not good enough, that's why you're staying back. And some of these disparaging comments have pushed people to even make that decision to leave the country. Additionally, one would look at, as a nation, as communities, and then as individuals, we need to begin to have a reorientation of our values. We need to begin to set in place the fact that you're working in Nigeria doesn't mean that you're a second-class doctor or that you're not good enough. We need to value those people that are working in our current healthcare sector, because they're working in very difficult settings. They are making use of the very minimal things. They are struggling through a weak healthcare system to ensure that they are able to do the things that they should do, and that patients could get maximum outcomes. We are using the latest guidelines from the European Society of Cardiology, ranging to stroke care, to neurology, and even surgical interventions to see that our patients get the maximum of care. So we must appreciate them. And then the economic and the reward system must change. If the reward system does not change, the fact that you have a discrepancy of about 1 to 10 of remuneration is quite significant. And so you cannot throw that under the bus and say people should just be patriotic. You must look beyond patriotism, and you must give them some job satisfaction. So the equipments that we're talking about, the high-end gadgets, those things that can make job to the healthcare professional to be satisfied. For example, we need a cath lab. I work as a cardiology senior registrar, and a patient comes in with an heart attack, and I need to open up that vessel that is blocked. And so I need all of the equipment that I want to be available. And that means that for my colleague in Australia or in the UK, I'm doing as much as they are doing. So that is just the minimum that we can do. We can still do more. We can strengthen our healthcare system. And I think the government is trying to make some steps in those right direction with the primary healthcare system that they are trying to improve. But there's still a lot more to be done.
I mean, let's look at the minister who has done a lot, so to say. He's also been pushing for policies and reforms that will enable Nigeria's healthcare system to be completely revamped and hopefully to position as one of the best. Now, recently there was an app that was launched. He launched the Diaspora Health Insurance app. And he's also been calling on the Nigerians in the diaspora to come back home and see how they can contribute to a thriving healthcare sector. I mean, you've been there for years. You've seen the mass exodus take place right in front of you. Do you think that we should wait as a nation for Nigerians in the diaspora to come back and fix the healthcare sector? Or what are the policy and reforms, if we can run through at least two of them, that you think is very necessary in order to get the healthcare system back and running?
Thank you very much. My approach would be complementary rather than competitive. The fact that we have some of our colleagues outside the country, they have the high-end equipment, they have the latest technological intervention that they are currently using and they are exposed to. So we should not jettison that on political expediency. So and they are critical to ensuring that we have collaborative efforts, and a whole lot of that is going on in our own teaching hospital, in the University College Hospital, where there is a lot of collaboration amongst those who are JAPAD in the last 10, 20 years, and now they are quite established over in other climes, and they are bringing back critical research funding to see that we can do a whole lot of research on our patients and we can improve outcomes. But beyond that, we must then do homegrown innovations. We must look for homegrown ideas that must go beyond just paying lip service. We must attend to remuneration. It's a major push factor. The fact that we don't reward and that must be as a policy rather than as a knee-jerk reaction. It must be a policy that looks towards a just, fair, and equitable remuneration for work done. And then we must look at the work scheduling. It is quite strenuous, and we must look at, you would not want a pilot who has not slept in the last 48 hours to be the one taking you around a course of a journey with an air flight. So you want your doctor to have adequate rest. So we need to look at manpower shortages. We need to look at ensuring that we schedule our doctors to have, and healthcare workers to have enough rest, and so that they can be refreshed and they can look through and look after our patients. And then as a policy direction, we must look at funding. The National National Healthcare Act has stipulated a percentage of all company profits to go towards healthcare. But how much are we implementing that? And then we must get insurance rights. If we don't get insurance right, you cannot pay out of pocket and want more people to get access to healthcare. Healthcare is not cheap anywhere in the world. Healthcare is expensive.
But even this insurance that
somebody must pay for it.
Dr. Ladapo, this insurance that you speak about, a number of Nigerians will still complain about the quality of healthcare insurance that they receive. What we've seen in some situations would be that those that pay really, really expensive healthcare insurance are the ones that are able to get quality healthcare. There have been situations where people will say, you know, if you go to you go there, the insurance cover, there's duration, the time, the delay with which they will take to confirm if your healthcare, your insurance is still active. Sometimes even the quality of medication. I've heard situations where they will say to you, you know, once they give you this, your prescription, don't collect it from the hospital because the medication for those on the insurance is inferior in terms of quality to the one that you know that is given to patients paying out of pocket. So how do you react to the quality of healthcare insurance that we currently have in Nigeria and how we can better that?
And the current leadership of the Federal Ministry of Health, because for the first time in about more than 10 years, they are reviewing the cost of service, the fee for service, and the cost of medications on the Nigerian Health Insurance Act or agency. Because you can imagine the amount of inflation that has, or the quantum of inflation that has happened in the last 10 years. And for you to fix the price of antibiotics to what obtains 10 years ago, then you can be sure that the quality would be at variance with those paying out of pocket. So it behoves on healthcare funding. Premiums will go high. Premiums will definitely go up or will be higher than what we currently have. But we must look for ways to cushion the effect of these high premiums so that we can improve the quality of care that we're giving to our patients. If we don't improve premium, if we don't improve the quality of investment in healthcare, those who are shortchanged are the service providers. The healthcare maintenance organizations, the HMOs, have a way of regulating how much is spent and what is spent. And even in the advanced countries of the world, you don't get specific generics or branded medications. You look at the healthcare economics so that you get what is efficacious, what is effective, and what is the most cost-effective set of medications. That doesn't mean they should be inferior in quality, but they should be effective and yet should be cost-effective. So you balance that and you look at the reality, the current economic realities to set a particular premium. So when that is done, we must again expand to cover the poorest of the poor, because if we don't attend to those who are the poorest of the poor in our communities.
Okay,
right.
Guess the network is a bit shaky there. Anyway, hopefully you can connect back, Dr. Oladapo. We have so many questions to ask. Olive, I also wanted to find out, because just recently the FEC, the Federal Executive Council, had approved over $1.07 billion, especially to the minister to ensure that he revamps the healthcare sector. I wanted to find out if he has been able to, get a meeting or a space to have possibly an insight into what these funds would be used for and what it would do. Because we live in a climate where we know money is approved. We get it in the news, the headlines, they make the big stories approved, but we don't have a follow-up to that as well. But Benga, if you want to go.
Is Dr. Oladapo back?
I think that he is.
Okay, now, Dr. Oladapo, if you can hear me clearly, there's a school of thought that believes we have to... Yes, there's a school of thought that believes we have to review or revisit how medical education is financed in Nigeria, that, you pay so much. From statistics, it says it costs about $21,000 to train a doctor, and we lose these doctors to outward migration, and Nigeria that trained you for next to nothing is not gaining anything. Some have even suggested that you should be forced to practice in the country for a certain number of years before you are allowed to travel. What do you make of this?
Thank you very much. That's a nervy issue, and it's one that one has to approach with a whole lot of caution. It is true that the country gives us an opportunity to train. And though we pay tuition, but that tuition compared to other training, other persons training in other parts of the world,
highly subsidized,
is not comparable. But additionally, one must identify the facts that the training of healthcare workers is not at the prerogative of just payment of tuition. It's a whole lot of effort and dedication and sacrifice. So if that is the case, like I've mentioned, and like what the Nigerian Association of Resident Doctors is driving towards, and the Nigerian Medical Association are driving towards, which I'm a member, it is to the fact that you cannot unilaterally or in isolation pick on medical doctors alone and say that they are the only set of people who have gotten subsidized education.
But your job is specialist and it's life-saving. You've also taken the Hippocratic oath to take care of. I mean, the engineer is not really saving lives.
You have IT specialists critical to our infrastructure that are leaving the country. You have teachers, you have petroleum engineers, you have accountants, you have esteemed lawyers that are leaving the country. Even journalists like you are leaving the country. So why should you isolate the medical professional or the doctor who, because yes, he's offering critical service, but you must be able to provide enabling environment for that doctor to say you want to bond that doctor to serve in the community. So we're looking at housing loans or even housing free or subsidized housing. So if you put a doctor in a particular environment and you say in 5 years you have a house of your own, so that's an incentive to say you want that doctor to stay.
All right.
Okay, and I guess so just to follow up from what you said, we would also want an incentive for journalists to have houses after 5 years. Is also an incentive to stay. Did you take any Hippocratic oath when you were sworn to be, when you joined the broadcasting?
To tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the very truth, so help me God.
But you didn't say you were going to save lives.
Dr. Jonah, thank you for joining us this morning. This is a very sensitive conversation, especially because we want better quality of healthcare in Nigeria. The doctors also want a better quality of life, and I'm hoping that somewhere we can find a middle ground that benefits all the parties involved. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Dr. Ladapo.
Thank you so much.
All right, we're going to break here. When we come back, we'll be looking at another sector, moving away from healthcare to education. Did you see that video that we started the show with yesterday where a 4-year-old child was being beat because she pooed herself after being given a toilet ban? Stick around. Today we look at a critical issue facing our nation's education sector, or as it stands, the alarming lack of, proper care for millions of Nigerian children. From overcrowded classrooms, we've seen outdated curriculum. Students have been denied access to toilet facilities in some cases. Remember the video we started the show with yesterday. We can all agree that the education crisis in Nigeria isn't just a ticking time bomb, and it's detonating as we speak. Stakeholders are sounding the alarm and reforms can no longer wait. Joining us to discuss this very critical issue this morning is Ronke Adeniyi, Director and Parent Coach, Le Posh School. Good morning and thank you for joining us.
Good morning. Thanks for inviting me.
Good morning.
So yesterday we started the show with a bit of anger, not a bit, a lot of anger actually, at a certain video, which we're going to start with. Just to refresh your memory, it was a parent accosting a proprietor or a headmistress, I'm not quite sure, about her 4-year-old who pooped herself. And she pooped herself, unfortunately, because there was a toilet ban. But let's take a look at the video.
Arrested. You know what they do? You should be arrested. Old people, they wear diaper. Get diaper for her. You beat a 4-year-old preschooler for pooing on her body. I did not scream at you. I came here as a normal person. But you think the only way you can speak is to shout. Do you need to shout to be heard? Yes. You need to shout to be heard. I find the conversation irritating. Which conversation?
conversation do you find it irritating? I find it more irritating that you beat my 4-year-old for pulling on herself.
I think the first way to start to be all the issues you can highlight from this video.
Am I one of your teachers that you call what's that English that you used to call your parents ungrateful? I pay for the service you render. And I tell you, what you do is to do what? To care for. You told her, and she told me.
Yeah, I will call you to come.
Because you said you should have called her mother to come and clean the mess. If I complain about the lack of cleaners, is it not my right?
I don't want a situation. It's better for us to manage what we have than not to have at all.
That does not mean you tell 4-year-old preschooler that they should not school in the school.
Never been through before in the 46 years of existence, and it tells you the situation of things out there.
It does not just tell me. It tells me that you don't treat your cleaners well, and that's why they don't stay.
Well, come and do the job.
Why will I come and do the job?
Come and sit down there for one day and see what they go through.
Why will I come and do the job?
She's not the only child in the school, you know. She's not the only one in the school.
But you beat my child. What right do you have to beat? What right do you have to beat?
How do you discipline such?
And what right do you have to beat a 4-year-old? She has never pulled on her body.
Oh, really? I don't believe so. Because
you don't believe so? Has it ever happened? Please, miss it.
I think a first way to start, I can see the look of disgust on your face. But let's highlight all the issues that are evident in this video.
Okay, so as we can see, there are many issues there. I probably won't even be able to highlight everything. First of all, is empathy. I don't see the empathy going on there. There's a challenge with the communication, the way that they're communicating. The lady's carrying on a laptop. She's not really interfacing properly with the parents. She's not really showing any regard. So there's no customer care, no customer service. The listening skills are not there. They're yelling at each other. Empathy is really important. It's not seen in that video. The care is not seen in that video. Attention to detail. You know, she should get up and try and. It shouldn't even get to that. You know, there are just so many issues. Smacking a child for answering the call of nature. It's a big one. I know that a lot of things are happening in schools, but I didn't realize that it had denigrated to this level. So, yeah.
I noticed from your designation when we introduced you, it says director and parent coach. What's the work of a parent coach? I'm just hearing that.
So I work with parents. So in my journey as an educator, I realized that it's not just the job of the school, and we have to carry the parents along. And parenting is not innate in many cases. People assume that parenting is innate, but it's not. So I work in the capacity of a neuro-linguistic practitioner, like pretty much a therapist, helping parents understand child development, stages of development, and the things that happen to children. Expectations, just like this one. This is an expected behavior of a child. And a school should know that. They should understand early child development. And this is not even an early child development thing, because even the head of school or head teacher, principal, whatever designation she has, could also have that emergency and needs to use the restroom. It's a human need. It's a call of nature. Nothing anybody can do about it.
So why do we have situations like this? I know that via your platform, you always call out bad behavior and the irregularities in the education sector because you're looking for a reform. You're pushing for, better standard and quality of education. That is not reflective or indicative of a great standard of education, not just because, first of all, from the video, there's allegedly a toilet ban. And even if there wasn't a toilet ban, you can't you can't beat a 4-year-old baby because she pooed herself. It's like we mentioned earlier, it's a call of nature, and it can call on you anytime, even whilst we're on this set.
Absolutely.
So what is it that emboldens teachers, proprietors, institutions to constantly not prioritize? Because I'm going to go to other cases of negligence within the country. But what is it that causes us to see this repetition, this impunity with which they treat parents, not realizing that these parents are the ones they're your clients. They're the reason you can pay your teachers. They're the reason you can pay yourself and you can continue in business.
See, it's not the reflective of the way they treat parents. It's just the way that they treat people. So it's not that they are selective of. So if that person probably goes to the market and has an incident, that would be the natural response. Now, there's an elephant in the room that we have failed as Nigerians to see, that there's an education crisis, there's a teacher crisis, there's a lot going on, and we're pretending not to know that we have an issue with the educators. Now, the typical educator in Nigeria is someone that does not understand child development, is someone that has cheated their way through the system. We have times when we go to 300 CVs, we can't even pick 4 or 5 CVs from there. We have issues where teachers cannot spell Tuesday, they can't do a year 4 test and pass it. And then we expect, you know, this grandiose service, you know, you're not gonna get it. We know that they cheat. When you talk about it on social media, that who know they do now? You know, we all do.
Very defensive.
You know, very defensive. They protect this bad behavior, and then we want to expect that when these people run these schools, they will give us, you know, this 5-star, 7-star service.
You cannot give what you do not have.
You can't give what you do not have. There is a challenge in the educational system in Nigeria, and that's why we are seeing things like that. And then we also have this case of, you know, everybody's saying that, you know, so any bad behavior that has nothing to do with anything, and this is not a reflection of who I support or who I don't support. I'm just saying that any bad behavior, we blame it on the government. Now, you are the government of that school, and you are telling the children that they can't use the restroom. Who does that? Do you know what I'm saying? They can't use the restroom. So for me, I looked at that, I watched that video over and over again. I interpreted to the point where I was thinking, who made the decision? Was it a collective decision that one person can't even,
voice.
Nobody even said, what if? So we can't continue to say, oh, cost of living is expensive, and as a result, that's the result we are closing the toilet. You can't hire people in the restroom. Just say early years. In fact, I don't even know who won't need the toilet. Everybody will need the toilet. Let's just close the school or find something else, because they will need to use the restroom. Telling the mother that she should put the baby in diapers. A 4-year-old that is neurotypical and has no challenges should be in diapers. Why? And the mother said, my daughter doesn't have this accent. This is just a one-off. And then you speak, what has that? You know, the issues are just so deep. They're so deep. And it's, you know, the last issue that we had, and everyone was saying a teacher smacked a child repeatedly for not writing a particular number. People went on and on. And I was calm about it, because that day I even wrote on my video, on Instagram, I said, do you know how many children in Nigeria? I'm sure I can put everything I have down and put it and bet that over 1 million children in Nigeria will have experienced that particular act on that day. Because violence is a culture of Nigerians. We are moving on the road, you see a police officer, you are scared. You know, husband and wife, they are fighting between each other. In the schools, in the officers, everywhere you go, bosses are shouting. It's an angry collection of people. And that's why we are seeing these sort of things happening to our children. So we have to do something about it. If we don't put money into the education sector, train people, pay them well, ensure that their mental health is intact, we're going to get this response.
Very important.
We seem to also have a big challenge in the educational sector, like you've mentioned. But what do you think the government can do to address this? I mean, gone are the days, they used to say if you're attending public school, it was like the biggest thing. And now we're starting to see the takeover from, you know, private institutions, private schools, because we do not have enough in the public schools. What do you think the government needs to do to get that balance and ensure that things like this don't repeat itself? Okay, so I get the question, government schools, but I just want to correct something that I can also bet that is a private school.
I agree. Yes.
So it's not a public school, it is just insanity going on in the country right now. So it's not a public school. In fact, I'm sure that there are some public schools that will do better than this.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So this is not a public school. So the government, we need to put money into the educational sector. We need to train our teachers. We need to ensure that they actually know the content of what they are expected to do and also expected to deliver. Because if you understand stages of development, if you understand how a child, a human being, should grow and what they should need at age 4. At age 4, I mean, there are children that are 5, 6, 7 and still have the occasional accidents. There are children that are 7, 8 years old, they're on the trampoline, they're jumping out of excitement, they poo on themselves, not because they're not potty trained, but they just don't want to leave the play. And you're going to say you're not going to clean them up and things like that. So the government needs to ensure that that training is happening. A lot of people say, put money, put money. Now, if you pay that person 10 million, that mindset is still there. They need a mind shift, a complete makeover, an overhaul of the mindset of the Nigerian teacher. They need psychiatric evaluations. And I'm one of them. Come and analyze me if you want. I mean, I can put myself down so that we can just ensure that all the children and everybody were in a better place. Because I think there's a mental health crisis undiagnosed, and a lot of people are moving I want to be careful with my words on. A lot of people are removing.
Challenges.
You know, the challenges are many.
With mental challenges.
You know, with mental health challenges.
So you're talking about the part of the teachers in this case and the educators.
Yes, so people are angry.
And I want us to also talk about some of the trainings that you think need to be had. And I ask this because when I was much younger, at some point I was privileged to have experienced what it feels like to be a teacher, even though my two co-hosts have disrespected my career in the past.
One teacher taught almost 6 subjects.
That is your business. That was what it was back in the day. But in the course of teaching, I recognized that there were some students, there was a particular pupil who found, you would tell him to spell orange, he would say KWF. He couldn't put words together. Not until I grew older did I realize that there were people who were dyslexic. So what kind of trainings, what kind of awareness, you know, how aware are we of neurodivergent children? You know, are these conversations that are already being had, and how can we ensure that this education, you know, cuts across the whole nation?
Okay, if they just go through the curriculum, if they just go through the content, everything is there, Olive. Everything is absolutely there. It's because they're not going through it. It's there. Sign is there. Special education needs is there. There are nothing that people don't know.
On paper.
So on paper. So it's just like having values in the school, and you have values written on the wall, and so these are value leadership, this on honesty, integrity, you know, empathy could probably be on the wall of such a school. Now, there's a living document, and there's one that is just static on paper. What are you living and breathing in your school? If we go through that curriculum and we go through it, we will see that there's special education needs. But generally, even as a nation, how do we treat children that have additional needs? You know, we exclude them. The inclusion is not there. We exclude them, even public spaces, for them to move about in their wheelchairs, if at all they have access. You know, how do we actually treat them as a culture in the nation? So if a teacher does not go through the curriculum and understand what is going on there, they won't know what to do with it. And I heard you say something about when we were young, our teacher used to teach us 6 subjects, all the subjects, blah, blah, blah.
Olive.
And that is the way it should be. I want to put that out there. I'm glad that this came up. Especially in the early years, there's a place of nature and nurture. So I know that in many big schools now, they will say, somebody should teach math, somebody should. The reason they are doing that is because they don't have the proficiency, they don't have the skill set to teach all the subjects. They don't know it. So you don't want to disgrace your school, so you get somebody that has mastery. When one teacher is teaching somebody in the early years, or children up to 8 years in a primary school, they become local parents. They become the mother of the child. You don't want to be taking a 4-year-old to this teacher, that teacher, that teacher, that teacher, that teacher. No, it's wrong. And this goes to those very big schools that are hiding. Instead of us to come out and talk and we have a crisis, one teacher should be teaching.
Thank you very much for sharing that. I knew Olive was right.
Okay.
Wow. All of a sudden, you knew I was right. Because they were arguing that all schools had one teacher per subject. And I was saying no, that when I was a teacher, you know, I taught all the subjects. I had a class. But then again, just to go back, you're talking about how some of these special trainings are there on paper, the special education needs. Does that then mean that means of hiring teachers? Because I wasn't a trained teacher per se. A number of us would either finish NYSC or you finish secondary school. Somebody would say, oh, come and teach my children lesson and stuff like that. What's your thought on the mode of hiring teachers? And then, do you think that NYSC core members should be hired as teachers or designated as teachers to schools?
The way we are now, where we have reached now, what I tell people that even parents should join the educational sector. They should volunteer. What we have now cannot solve the problems in Nigeria. Say, for example, yes, there's a huge gap. The teachers can't meet up in 100 years. Did you see some children in China doing surgery, you know, practicing how to do stitches and stitch? Did you see little children doing stuff like that online? You know, where are we going to start with our own curriculum? And it's not even Nigerian curriculum, because even the British curriculum don't have that in it. So let's not even start dishing our curriculum right now. There's a lot of work to do. We have experts in the sector. We have people that are machine learning, artificial intelligence, all these different things that have come up online now, that they're not teaching in any school, any university, or any teacher training college. It is the parents that know these things that need to come and volunteer, create a curriculum for that place, create a course or something. We need to, you know, really do things differently. We need to shake up the system. All this, when we go there, we do vocational and we're teaching things, typewriter and all those things that we are doing. Outdated things. We need to wake up and we need to understand that things have to be overhauled.
Do you think that we need to change our curriculum?
No.
And I'm saying this because, I mean, countries like Japan and so on, the formative years of the children, the first 3 years, they focus on no tests, no scores, no first, no second. They focus on morals, like you said. They engage in, getting skills. I mean, I've seen videos. I'm in love with these videos. When you watch them, you see a child as young as 4 years. They've learned how to, be a chef. They know how to cut, wash they have the rubber knives. They teach them. And they learn morals, how to greet, how to keep your surrounding clean for the first 3 years or so before they advance. Exactly. So don't you think Nigeria needs that now? Because you mentioned, I mean, everybody in Nigeria is angry. So if you don't teach your children, they're going to be the next set of generation. Don't you think we need to review the curriculum in some way?
Review it for all you care. Review it. Who is going to deliver it?
Implement it.
Who is going to do it? Is it the people that have this angry mindset that are going to read it and study? Now, there's University of YouTube. Everything is on there. You don't even have to review the curriculum before. Once I see something online, I'm throwing it into the group in the school and say, guys, show these kids this thing. You see what their mates are doing there. If you don't have a positive mindset, if you don't have a growth mindset, you're not going to be able to deliver any. Bring the curriculum from China, Japan, Finland, join it together and give the typical Nigerian teacher that is all they're thinking about is who's going to give me the next 5K in the next school. How are they going to deliver that?
Now, we've reached a crisis point from what you said. It's even beyond a crisis point. What will it take to stop this rot and say, guys, boss, let's have a hard reset and start doing things properly? Because I'm sure there are people that have started schools as a result of this and want to do things differently. But we need a collective, we need a mass, we need a critical mass to be able to drive change across the nation. What will it take?
It's going to take a significant lot. We need people that are game changers in the ministry. We need people that are going to tear everything and say, let's do this again. People that are not going to be saying, oh, let's do, we must have registers on paper. Say, for example, every school is expected to have tick sheets in that register. When there's automation going on, where people can use biometrics to sign and everything, you still in Nigeria need to have that register, no matter how woke your school is. So you have to understand that there are some things that we just need to do away with. We need people that are going to think on another level. We can't continue. So insanity is doing the same thing as taking a different result. Yes. We need people that are going to start transforming. And please, I'm not saying that we need foreigners. I'm not saying that we need, because that is the next thing. Because Nigerians are going abroad and they are the ones taking those foreign countries to another level. So we can do it. Because that's the next thing. They let us have, because this mindset, this poverty and colonial mentality that we have, that if you don't see a foreigner in a school, it's not a good school. And people actually pitch. Because even when I started the school, they said, okay, you must put Oyinbo there. That's how you get plenty of children. And I'm thinking, hello, this is how we think. So we need a a complete revamp of the sector, being able to do things completely different. The rules are just too rigid. There's some things that, they would say children must cut their hair to a particular level. Girls must plait their hair in a particular
and they will call it style for
in 2025. And then COVID didn't even change anything. During COVID, you had children with afros, girls with braids, and they were still doing well. So they will wear their shorts and go for their online class. It did not teach us anything that we can still learn without all these kind of rules that we implement on the children.
What are the implications for our country if we don't fix this?
This bus that we are moving, you can see that it's going in different directions. It's going to crash.
Wow. I mean, I have felt very inspired by this conversation, and I don't say that lightly, because whilst we were speaking and we were talking about how everybody, all hands need to be on deck, I've decided that I probably need to go and start volunteering in schools. And I think that that's something that a number of us should do, volunteer in schools, take up courses.
For example, public speaking is something that you can do.
Yes.
And also the issue of assignments. They want to kill parents with assignments.
We'll get back to that.
Roke Adeni, Director and Parent Coach at Le Posh School. Thank you so much. This was such an insightful and inspiring conversation. We hope that if you're watching, that it has inspired you to do more, to show up, to volunteer, and lead the change in Nigeria's education sector. We have more conversations this morning. We're going to a very quick break, and when we come back, there's more. We've had this morning, we talked about brain drain with Dr. Oladapo, the impact of Nigeria's healthcare system, with over 16,000 doctors having left in 7 years. We've just addressed Nigeria's learning crisis with Roke Adeni, Director and Parent Coach at Le Posh School, and IGP Egbetokun assures justice for victims of Boko's killings. Our correspondent brought us a detailed report on that.
Coming up, Next on Breakfast Central this morning, housing crisis. Lagos residents cry out over soaring rent. We'll be speaking to Scott Iguma. Sowore leads protest, calls for removal of IGP. And Rivers ex-governor Ada George calls out FCT minister Nyesom Wike. Do stay with us. Breakfast Central continues shortly. Nigeria is no stranger to protest, but yesterday's demonstration at the police headquarters in Abuja has ignited fresh debates. Omoyele Sowore, activist and former presidential candidate, led the charge demanding the immediate removal of the Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun. The protest highlights growing dissatisfaction with the leadership of the Nigerian police force. This morning, we break down the reasons behind Sowore's call for IGP Egbetokun's removal and the broader implications for Nigeria's security apparatus. Joining us this morning for our discussion is Mr. Omoyele Sowore, convener Revolution Now movement. A warm welcome to you, Mr. Sowore, and thanks for joining us on Breakfast Central.
Thank you so much for bringing me.
Thanks for being here.
Why have you decided to take it upon yourself to protest the continued stay of IGP Egbetokun as Inspector General of Police when the Police Act of 2024 amended allows the occupant of the office to remain and complete the original 4-year term granted under Section 7 and 6 of the Act? That's the difference from the Nigerian police.
So you can have acts, you can have executive orders, but any one of them that works that's at variance with the Constitution, it's null and void and of no effect. And I am not a believer in the Nigerian Constitution. Let me make that clear, because it's a military constitution, and I've always said that that document needs to be taken out of existence. Part of the problem. But what is clear is that for anybody who is in the civil service, 35 years is the number of years you're expected to retire, from the date that you join the civil service. You're supposed to live after 35, when you reach the age of 60. And that is what is stipulated for policemen and people who are in the security services and other civil servants. Just so that you know that this is the rule, other policemen under Egbetokun have been retired in the last 2 months. All of them. And I know this because when I was arrested for calling for his removal the first time, we discovered a lot of policemen who are supposed to have retired since 2016, 2017. They had gone in and forged and altered their service records. And all of them now have been retired, over 500 of them, quietly retired. So Egbetokun's course, the people who entered the police the same year as he was, the last batch retired March towards 2025. So the Galandachis of this world, who was the guy who arrested me, has retired. So what is Egbetokun still doing in the police force? If they are so interested in him as one of their political allies, they can take him to customs where there's room for a non-custom person to lead. But even then I will oppose them, because when people are retired and tired, you can give room for fresh hands. The other part of it has to do with fairness, that the Nigeria police force has so many officers. Over 350,000 people are in the police force. Are you telling me that out of these 350,000 people, people who have worked in different departments, training, logistics, mobile police, you can't find a person who has not retired to lead the police force? That's the problem, and it's not only applicable to the police. The same thing is happening with immigration. The woman at immigration had also had her tenure extended twice.
Now, but why are you not as vocal against immigration and like you are against the police? Because people think it's almost like a personal vendetta against Mr. Egbetokun.
So let me admit that I have a personal vendetta against him, because he was the one who in 2024, and some of you don't pay attention to this, so I've been fighting for his removal since 2024, when we had End Bad Governance protests, and Egbetokun sent the police to go and kill people, and then arrested and began trying minors for treason. That was handled by the police force. People like that have no place in a sane society. People who are so callous to go and remove children from the streets of Kano, bring them to Abuja. You saw them, some of them malnourished, some of them almost dead, half dead.
When you say that Egbetokun sent people to go and kill, sent the police to go and kill people, what do you mean?
He's the Inspector General of the Police, the one who gave the order. He's the one who gave order for those minors to be arrested and brought to Abuja from Kano and Kaduna and began trying them for treason. Treason. You saw that.
So that's for the minors, but not an outright order asking
no,
the police to kill people.
No, an outright order to kill people happened also in August of 2024.
Do you have evidence of that?
Of course, there's evidence. The dead bodies are the evidence we have in Kaduna, in Kano. Why is everybody pretending that this didn't happen?
Evidence that the orders came from the IG?
Of course, anything that's carried out by a police officer shooting at people directly with live bullet comes from the top hierarchy. They typically don't do that. If they don't, then they will be condemned, arrested, of course. If you act out, outside of the orders given to you, you are punished and shown to the public that this is not how the police operates. But he ordered them. The other part, which is very important, is that another election is coming. Credibility for the police is important. You cannot have a police IG who says to you, my life changed the day I met the president, now be in charge of an election, especially when his tenure is expired. And that is suspect, that they want to use him for a special purpose in 2027. I'm not a big fan of the next elections or election cycles, but people are calling and asking for the next election to be at least transparent, free, and credible. And one of the major organizations responsible for organizing the election in Nigeria is not even INEC, but security agencies, particularly the police, because there must be a police or two in every polling unit.
So what kind of reforms would you suggest in the Nigerian police?
I'm not for reforms. I've always told you. So Nigeria has passed the stage of reform.
So you think if they remove IGP Egbetokun, the Nigerian police will be better?
No, of course.
Yeah, so what changes do you want to see in the Nigerian police?
The changes, I want to see a brand new police force. A police force that's not only about policing, by the way, that also takes care of policemen and women. People who work for you to keep you safe every day deserve, pension. They deserve great salary. I've always said it that Nigeria is just a counterintuitive space. Otherwise, you have a police officer guarding banks who are themselves poor. You have police officers who are taking home 57,000 naira per month, and they are protecting millions of bullion vans on a daily basis. That's foolish to give somebody a gun and not pay them. You have just employed an armed robber or a potential one. So I am for that. But the policing that needs, you see, all the security issues we are having in Nigeria today is as a result of the breakdown of our police force. Otherwise, you will not have soldiers doing traffic work on the street. Soldiers have no business within Nigeria trying to help you fight terrorism and Boko Haram and Lakwa or kidnappers. It's the job of the police. But what I have discovered in my foray into this struggle for and against a terrible police force is that the command structure of the police has also broken down. Trust me, you can go to Abuja, headquarters of the police, and a junior officer can dictate to a senior officer depending on how close he or she is to the IG or the DIG or AIG. So if you don't handle all of this to the bottom, you cannot have a police force that protects you. But the policemen also need logistics. They need support. I give an example that there are police stations that have up to 500 men. Do you know how much their quarterly allocation is? 30,000 naira. How do you spend 30,000 naira to manage a police station that has 500 men? So at the end, you find all the policemen, majority of them are just like, what they are doing on the road is to say, look, I want to get my gratuity before my pension. That's what they are doing. And it is because everyone is doing it from the bottom to the top. In fact, the bottom ones work harder than the top people, because the bottom ones will have to go and raise money on the street, extort, harass, and they have to give to the ones at the top who are sitting pretty in their offices, practically doing nothing. So it's not just a problem of the character of the police, it's also a problem of how to fix how these policemen are well remunerated, compensated. There's nobody in the police force who should die and have their family driven out of the barracks the following week. So if I were president of Nigeria, a policeman would have a life insurance because they are putting their life on the line. If they die, they should not get less than 20 to 30 or 50 million naira to help their family and, some sort of pension to keep the family going because these people have put their... And I'm not patronizing police because there's nobody, maybe there are only a few people in Nigeria that have been beaten up and roughened up and tortured like me by the police. Before anybody knew about SARS, I was detained at SARS in 1998 in this Ikeja. I know all the areas up until when I left in 1999 from area A to G, F, and the rest of them. I know there are more areas now. So the police has not been my friend, but that is not to say that we should not be talking about their well-being, because without their well-being, you can't have security in the country. There are 350,000 policemen in Nigeria. I think they have the largest in terms of population of all the security agencies. So you abandon that, you're just putting yourself through perilous times in terms of security.
But do you by any chance have the support of some of the police officers in this push that you're doing in terms of ensuring that there is a reform, a change in the police system, they get more than what they deserve? And why is it that the retired or ex-police officers are not also talking?
Oh, ex-police officers are talking. You see, the way the police force or the security forces set up do not allow them to freely speak. In fact, the only reason why you can figure out how policemen are supporting you these days is through social media. There are very many on social media. And my own research is that when it comes to the police, Nigeria Police Force, they are more on Facebook. Yeah. And the most senior officers are on Twitter, of course with fake names, on both accounts. So, but they monitor all these things. I am not looking for their support because I'm not planning a mutiny. Whether they support me or not, it doesn't matter. I was tear gassed last Monday by the same policemen that I've been fighting for. But I can tell you that since we started this struggle against Egbetokun, over 1,000 policemen have been promoted. Yes.
Now we're watching,
and they're still having
of
promotion exams.
We're seeing visuals of you at the protest in front of the police headquarters in Abuja. How did that go, and were you able to present a formal letter to the representatives of the Inspector General of Police? And have you also, at any point, raised this issue of your stance against the IGP and also police reforms with Nigerian Police Service Commission or the National Assembly?
All right, well, let's hold that thought. We'll have you answer that question shortly, but we have a video that we want to play. Let's take a look at this video and we'll come back to the conversation.
That's the purpose of our economy. The Nigerian economy right now is not an economy that is designed for the Nigerian people. Right? It's an economy that is just what I would call esoteric. It has a special definition, it's designed for few individuals. Yes, to look as if it's some kind of special economy. But when you look at it, there's no substance to it. There's no value for the Nigerian people within the Nigerian economy. That is why when you ask our leaders what our economies are doing, they don't have any statistics to show to you locally. It's always some kind of external statistics or definition. Oh, this is what the World Bank said we're doing. This is what the IMF said we're doing. The IMF just told us that inflation has gone down. But you go on the street, the inflation has not gone anywhere. You are not paying people wages, what we call living wages. You are paying them minimum wage. The difference between living wage and a minimum wage is a minimum wage is a legally defined amount of money you are supposed to pay workers. A living wage is a minimally defined amount that a worker can survive on. So that's our first definition of how this economy should work, is paying workers what is legitimately theirs in terms of minimum wage. And that's why we define and say we're starting with 100,000 naira minimum wage for workers, Nigerians. Yes, that is, if you want to buy a WAEC form for your child, you can pay for it that month. If you want to buy jam, you can pay for it. If you want to pay some fees, go to hospital, because we will also provide, free healthcare, universal health coverage for our people. It's going to be a welfare system, and that's where the economy is going to be for our people, because the money is there. We had a speaker yesterday. Sorry you couldn't wait to speak. Femi Falana.
Yeah, I was there. I heard him.
And you heard him speak. And Femi Falana was saying that 60 billion was lost to one regulation in the oil sector.
Imagine.
The regulation is simple. If you got an oil block some 10 years ago, you got a waiver not to pay royalties for 10 years if you dig up to a certain level.
No.
But
right, so we had to go dig up that video and bring it back. In addition to what Benga has asked, that video, I took time to watch that as well. Surprisingly, some of the issues you raised are still ongoing till now. So in addition to the question Benga has asked, if you've been able to reach out to the
Nigerian Police Service Commission or the National Assembly.
Yeah, you know, my position is not driven by bureaucracy. Those are bureaucracies that already know about these issues. In fact, as I mentioned to you, the Nigerian Police Service Commission has been trying to retire some senior police officers since 2016 who ought to have retired but altered their service records. It wasn't until I was arrested and there was that hoopla, I think in February, that the Service Commission was able to go into a meeting the day after I was arrested and take the very difficult decisions they've been working to take for over 4 years to retire all those policemen. They're all retired now. People like Bernard Igwe, the guy who is in charge of legal in the police, all of them have all been retired now. Over 500 police officers were retired just at once. But there's one more man that needs to retire. That's the IGP. And that's why I said you are occupying the office illegally. And I want to look at Nigerians and tell you there is just no way we can continue to have illegal activities happen in our system, you know, condone and endorse it, and expect the country to improve. Just you're talking about, you just showed a video of me and
Idris Egbetokun. I wanted to bring that
whose record has been banned again.
Banned now.
So this tells you that Nigeria is not making progress. Who is still banning records these days? In fact, you know, I'm happy the record is banned because more people are going to find out about it and listen to it. It's just, you know, when I was in NYC in 1995 in Yola, I went to the studio of Radio Nigeria, and the only thing on the wall was Fela's music and a ban on it. It said, under no circumstance, I remember that. I hope somebody can get a copy of the poster. Under no circumstance should you play Fela's music on air in this studio. Fela died in 1997, I think. And as of today, in San Francisco alone, there are 35 bands that play Fela music. I was part of a group that did Fela on Broadway, not official, but I consulted for them. And that show was supposed to go for, I think, 13 episodes. It lasted for almost a year. They kept asking for more, Fela on Broadway. It became a sensation. I think, you know, I saw something on Seun Kuti's page recently of a whole ensemble of Fela musicians in France. Everybody's singing Fela music, you know, and here we are trying to kill Fela, kill his music and his message. In fact, the first thing the government did when Fela died in 1990 was to take over his original shrine. The shrine where Femi is wasn't a race. He has a shrine inside where they call Computer Village now. If somebody was sensible in government, when Fela died, the entire Computer Village could have been condoned off and made. People would be coming there. It would become a source of tourism and inspiration for others. They converted the place to a church, I think, at first, and then maybe it's now a Computer Village shop. Fela's shrine is the biggest.
I think he's Nigeria's #1 cultural ambassador. Just to add to what you said.
Yes.
I went to Chile with Seun Kuti a few years ago, and I was in the middle. It was one of the moments I'll never forget in my life. We're in a place called Villa Alemania in Valparaiso in central Chile. And I know in that place, nobody would know who the Nigerian president is or who has been anybody. And they were singing Fela's music verbatim in the middle of the night, stadium.
Wow.
Yes, it's so, but look at what they did to Fela. You know, same thing, police beating him up. I remember one of the most, you know, depressing videos I saw of Fela before he died was the NDLA harassing him. Bamayi. On live TV, you know, it was NTA. You know, like, oh, what is that? Igbo, why are you smoking Igbo? And fella was like, it's not Igbo, it's Nigeria's natural grass. So, but they were just harassing, they were trying to disgrace him over weight. And look at where cannabis is today. It has become also a global, most powerful revenue generating plant.
And you've said that if you're president, you're going to do a lot with it, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Are you still going to run for presidency? But anyway, that's a later conversation. Yes. Because you said you're not interested in 2027. Elections don't.
I'm interested in today, you know.
Today.
Yes.
Let's go back. What if are you planning to call for a one-on-one with the IGP, just to meet with him and, you know, many have said
if he's ready to retire, I'll take boxes. You know.
Many have said you should just meet with him.
No, if he's ready to
express your grouse that you have, rather than, you know, call him out.
If he's ready to leave, I'll take a bunch of boxes. I will go to his office and help him pack. You know, I get him to go home safely. I can do that. But one-on-one to discuss illegality, that's not my job.
So what's your next step with regards to the IG after that protest? Or how do you plan to continue?
We'll continue. I don't have to disclose that now, but we'll keep doing this until he leaves. You know, it's for me, you know, it's like you tried to raise earlier, maybe it's personal, it's not personal grudge. You know, I've seen a lot of policemen who beat me almost to death, and when they retire, they're like helpless. Some policemen that try to kill me, I've helped them before. When I found out after this, the guy who was the area commander of you know, the police unit on Western Avenue around Surulere, he was one shot guy. He was mean to us when we were at University of Lagos. He always deployed. He would come and beat you up personally, pick you up. And when he retired, you know, somebody reached out to me that he couldn't afford medicine.
And that's a shameful reflection of what
and I'm not shaming him,
he's
but
experiencing, because you shouldn't have served your country and not be able to live a decent life, which is in a way part of what you're pushing for. But I also want to go back. You mentioned being tear gassed on Monday. Let's talk about the Take It Back movement and the advocacy against the Cybercrime Act. How far are we on that journey, and what do you think should be the next steps from here? And why is it important to even have that conversation?
Well, you know, we can't have democracy and remove one of its legs. And one of the legs of democracy, practically speaking, is ability to speak and choose. I have referred to a comedian, Oke Bakassi. He made a short speech one day. Video. You know, it sounded funny, but it was very, very apt, where he said, well, if the military show up today and take over power from civilians, which I would never support, he said, the first thing they will say, what are you people not speaking up for us?
Come out.
You know, if they go and clamp them up, you know, put them in jail, like they are doing in Niger, you know, where they've kept the former president in jail, everybody will say, where's Sowore? Where's Falano? Where's Shrika? Tell them to speak for us. Anytime, by the way, which is interesting, anytime these people have problems amongst themselves, the first person they try to reach is us. Speak for us now.
Civil society.
Civil society. You know, or they'll reach us journalists. You know, I'm a lousy journalist. They'll say, let us put this in on Sahara Reporters, and they have nearly killed me.
Interesting.
They have collected my land. Let me give you an example. Ondo State, there was the Attorney General in Ondo State. He was the one who prosecuted one girl at the time during NSAS and put her in jail, pregnant. 3 days ago, he reached out to me through a talk, because he can't come to me because of this despicable past, that they want to destroy his house in Ondo State, Akure Alagbaka Estate. Is Sowore not going to help us? I said, but we're trying to reach you the other day when you were doing injustice to a child. Yes. He fought me at that time. But he was a former activist. You know, all these activists, the moment they get into power, forget it, they lose their mind. You know, I don't want to mention his name. But I was like, I told the person, so now he believes in the power of our speech and our credibility to fight for them. So you will always need good people. So the best thing you do, if you're in power, empower greatness and goodness in your society, because you're going to need it.
I want to ask you a question.
Yes.
Some people have the perception that, you know, you can't see any good in government, you don't highlight anything positive. That are there any politicians that are doing things right? Your brother currently serves with the Ondo State government. Apart from, does that affect your relationship in any way? And is that true that you don't like all politicians?
You know, if I wanted to be pleasing people, I wouldn't have come out as Sowore. I would have come out as an ice cream, so I can make people happy. But if there was anybody that is doing good, I don't even need to be the one talking about it. There'll be enough people saying this person is good, to the point that if I'm the one saying that the person is not good, I'll be overwhelmed by those who feel and understand that they are good. So if anybody wants people to be praising them, they should do good and see how many people will come out for them. But he wanted to mention about my brother. I don't want to skip that. My brothers have been doing, my household, where I have 15 brothers and sisters combined. Yes, my dad had over 21 kids. 15 of us are still alive. I'm the first child. Don't ask me if I know their names. But yes, 2 of my brothers are in Ondo State. In my household, they're in different political parties. Our household is most open-minded. So one of my brothers is in APC, one of them is in PDP.
You had one of them on the show as well.
Yes, you must have met them. A lot of them are lawyers, my younger ones. So you always come across them. But when it comes to the principle of fighting against government, we always butt heads. I won't be surprised if one day the Ondo State governor says to me, says to you guys, he said, I want Sowore's brother to come and confront him on your show. And I'm praying for one of them to come out.
We're going to set that.
Yes,
we'll set that.
Mr. Omoyele Sowore, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you
I'm sure that we would expect to see more protests. People would say that, we've been seeing some of the reactions on YouTube as well. They're saying, oh, you're the one championing the revolution. People wonder what keeps motivating you, even with the blackouts, the restrictions, and the tear gas.
And the fact that they seize my passport they've seized my passport again, so I can't.
Anyway, we look forward to having you again, and thanks for always honoring our invitation. We will go on a break, and when we come back, we'll be talking about a very critical issue: the soaring prices of rent in Lagos, and sometimes the fact that they will say that what you ordered doesn't really match what what you got. So we'll be back.
Maybe we should have a revolution on that. Staying with us here on Breakfast Central. Now, Lagos, a mega city bursting with energy, opportunity and diversity. But beneath the glimmering skyline lies a grim reality. Skyrocketing housing costs, and the question on everyone's mind, including me, myself and my colleagues this morning, is who can actually afford to live in Lagos?
That's a very big question you've asked there, Joe, because indeed Lagos has become a city where many residents will complain about feeling trapped between crushing rent prices and the dream of owning a home slipping further and further out of their reach. But what's fueling this housing crisis? This morning, we go beyond the headlines to uncover the hard truth and the uncomfortable conversations. Joining us this morning for this discussion is Scott Iguma, a price control advocate. Good morning. Thank you very much for joining us. I think a great way to start the show would be for you to set a background for why you decided to become a price control advocate. Was it from your personal experience or from the experiences of people around you? Walk us through your journey.
All right, thank you, Ms. Central. Good morning, and thank you for having me. So what started the journey was, I'm into buildings. I love real estate, I love buildings, I love structure. So at times I used to watch YouTube videos, I watch YouTube content, I see houses in various countries, and then I see houses, and I've traveled as well. So I see houses in Nigeria, and I get to see the price doesn't match, doesn't tally. And also in my area, I get to see lots of homeless people. Lot of homeless people roaming around the streets, no place to stay. They live under the bridge, they live by the roadside, they don't have a house to stay. And getting to look at it, I got to see, the reason why we're having so much homeless people, there's so much overpricing going on in the real estate sector. They're building these houses, and all of the houses are overpriced, so people can afford rent. And that was the reason why I started fighting, and why I started advocating for the overpricing that is going on in the real estate sector.
Very much for setting that background as to why you decided to pursue this course. And there have been a number of comparisons you've made so far in terms of what a property would look like in Nigeria, as well as what it would look, or what a property would cost and look like in Nigeria, as well as what a property will cost and look like in other parts of the country. What would you say has been the most shocking one for you, and what would you say are some of the causes of this great disparity?
Okay, the most shocking one for me was one I compared. I was going for $5 million in a coin. Like that was like it was something else. And again, you have to take note that it's not just the price; it's as well they are building houses that are not standard and slamming huge prices on it. So the most shocking one for me was the one I saw in coin that was going for $5 million. I can tell you for free that property was totally rubbish. Honestly, totally rubbish. And the reason they are acquiring and using dollars to hide the price, what they were actually doing was, for example, that property, if they were to put it in Naira, $5 million, let's say that property was about 7 billion Naira, for example. An average Nigerian, even if that person is not well educated, will know that, oh, this property should be valued at 7 billion Naira, because Naira is their currency. So they build rubbish and then they hide the value, they hide the price in dollars. So people don't know the greed and the overpricing that they are practicing. So that was what they were doing. So the most shocking one for me was the property I saw before. Exactly, that is it. That was, slammed with $5 million. That was rubbish. That property is totally rubbish. And for me, that property should be demolished and the land reclaimed. If you were to ask me my own opinion, that property is absolutely rubbish.
We've looked at the cost of living and so on. Let's bring it back home now. We've talked about Lagos. There are growing concerns from Lagosians, especially now that the landlords are, increasing the rent. You are indeed a price advocate. You're looking at why the prices are going up. You've mentioned in your videos that these houses don't worth, in quotes, the price that are being demanded, especially asked by the either landlord or the agent. Who do you think is really causing this increase in rent prices? Is it the agents? Is it the landlords? Or do they have an association? When you carry out your research, who do you really think needs to be cautioned?
They are the agents. The agents and the rectors are the ones that are skyrocketing the price of rents. As a matter of fact, the agent and rectors sometimes call the landlords, because you have to understand that majority of the people who own houses in Lagos are not living in Lagos. They are Nigerians in the diaspora. They buy these houses and put them out for investment purpose for rent. So the agent got to call them that most of them don't even know the rents that are charged in some particular areas. They just buy the house, the rectors and the agents who sold those houses for them, we also tell them, we'll put a rent for you. We'll put 5 million Naira rent for you. So it is the rectors, the agents, who are increasing the price of rent. As a matter of fact, they use maps, like I keep saying in all of my videos, they are using maps to appreciate the property. In the next 2 years, the property will times 2. In the next 1 year, the property will times 2. Why should it times 2? But they use these words to guilt trip and to break in those Nigerians from the diaspora to invest in Nigeria. So they tell them, don't worry, we'll help you rent it out. But this are straight up so you can make your money back. So that is why we are having the overpricing. So the agents are the reasons why we are having this hike in rent, and it has to be stopped. And we have to look into it and crack it down. Otherwise, this Lagos city is going to sink in hyperinflation and in homelessness.
In the course of your advocacy, you've had quite a number of pushback. There are people that have threatened you with lawsuits. They've said you're taking business away from them. They said, what's your business? And you've gone through quite a lot. Now, could you share some of those experiences with us, and also what motivates you to keep on championing the cause for price control and also the bastardization of the word luxury?
Okay, what motivates me is my high level of positive energy. Because at the moment, we have lots of negative energy going on in our country and in our society in Nigeria. We have a lot of negative energy, mental energy, because we are all growing individually and not growing collectively. So I've gotten some threats, some pushback, but I've made them to understand that I'm here to stay. I'm not going anywhere. There is no fear in me. I'm not scared of anybody. As a matter of fact, I keep saying it's not a trend, it's a movement, and I'm ready to go head on. I don't care who you are. I usually tell them in the video, I know they fear anybody, Papa. I don't believe in don't mention names. If your name is involved in anything that you are doing that is wrong and it's affecting the general public, I will mention your name and I will call you out. And yes, some of them try to attack me, they try to fight back at me, but I'm way smarter. And before I get involved in anything, I ensure I'm 100% aware. So if you want to fight me, you have to ensure that you catch up with my level, because I will outspeed you and take you down. So that's it for me. No fears. If your account wants you, I will call you out definitely. Because if we don't do the right thing, evil will prevail.
Indeed, if we don't keep fighting and speaking up, evil will continue to prevail. But let's talk about the wins. Do you think that since you've started this advocacy, there have been any wins? You constantly call out fraudulent pricing. You've called out, bad behavior in the rent sector and the real estate space. But are we making progress? Are there any wins? Or please go ahead.
Of course, we are making progress. As a matter of fact, I even find it's challenging now for me to see some overpriced houses. Because right now, one of the major ones that has stopped is the listing in dollars. The listing in dollars has, drastically reduced to the briminous minimum. So I barely see houses again that are listed in dollars, because I ensure I call out the EFCC in the matter, and I believe they took actions. So we're not seeing houses listed in dollars again. I'm even finding houses that are listed for 6 billion, 5 billion, 4 billion. The ones I'm seeing now are only like 800 million downward. So they are pushing back to affordable housing, which we need, because most of the times, all of them wanted to start building luxurious properties. They wanted to start building, and what they call luxury is not luxury, it's absolutely rubbish. In my honest opinion, in everyone's honest opinion, what they are doing was absolutely rubbish. So now we're doing progress, and as well, when it comes to the renting, someone has come up with the Dome app, we use Dome app, we came up with a strategy of where you can give reviews of the property you've rented. If they are good, you drop your reviews. If they are bad, you drop your reviews. So that also has helped bring down some of these challenges. And yeah, we are seeing some really, really, really good results. I believe you saw results. That's how you reached out to me.
Interesting. Well, where do you see this leading to? What do you think the government can do at the moment to ensure that the rent would go back? There's an article that has been shared and it's circulating online. I don't know if you have been able to stumble on it or seen it. It says tenants to pay monthly, quarterly, yearly as Lagos reinforces rent. Do you think that your advocacy, we know it's contributed to this, and being a voice, lending your voice to ensure that the government does what is right, do you think that there will be a time where Lagosians will be able to pay their rents monthly and yearly? Do you think it would ever happen?
Firstly, nothing is impossible. That's to put that in statement. Now, I would not advise the monthly rents, because most people are not earning much. The economy is not sustained for most of the workers in Lagos. As a matter of fact, people who are even able to rent these are traded properties, are people who are not working in Nigeria per se. They are working online, they are working globally. So where are the doctors going to stay? Most of the doctors can afford monthly rents. Most of the teachers can afford monthly rents. We need the state government and the federal government to go back to providing affordable estates. They have to start building affordable estates. Because right now we are having shortage in home supply. So the government has to start building government and state, federal housing estates that will be affordable, that will take care for the teachers, that will take care, because right now, most of the feeble workers in Nigeria, the feeble talent persons, they cannot afford rent. And if it's not cheaper that's urgent, it's going to be crazy, because we already have doctors traveling outside. Very soon the teachers will join. And again, we have to go into vocational studies as well, because we have to start teaching people how to build proper structures. Because aside from the advertising, aside from the rubbish and the dilapidated structures we are building, we don't have quality vocationals to do these structures. So the state government has to do that, and we also have to go into providing affordable houses for Lagosians and for Nigerians. So paying rent monthly, I don't advise that in our opinion, because most Nigerians can't do that. We can't afford that. We are used to the 1 year system because we have a long time to raise that money. If you start asking them to pay monthly, then there's going to be another crisis this year. So if they want people to pay money, then they have to work on the economy to ensure that the economy is self-sustaining for people to have good jobs so they can pay their rent money.
I'm glad that you've highlighted a number of these areas that we need to pay particular attention to, quality of structures and the likes. But in your final words, who are the necessary stakeholders and what responsibilities do they all have? So I'm also going to ask this in terms of us as individuals, as citizens, do we also have a responsibility to ensure that we do not further exacerbate the current crisis, housing crisis in the country?
Okay, of course, I normally say we don't have government problem, we don't have statistics problem, we have human problem. That's our major problem. So it is 100% on the individuals. So we like to blame the government for everything, but that's weird, that's not true. It's just an excuse to shift us from the blame. That's what we keep doing. We blame the government for everything. Even the part that we are faulty, even the part that we are responsible for the damages, we want to blame them. We want to blame it on the government. And we have to stop that rubbish and start holding ourselves accountable. So the government have their own part to play, but the developers have their own part to play too. The realtors have their part to play too. The landlords have their part to play too. The tenants have their part to play too. So it's not just a governmental problem, it's a human problem. So that's what it is for me. That's what I think. And I think that's the honest truth. So we have to work on ourselves. The developers are building strictly for greed, strictly for their bellies and for their profits. We are not building to solve any challenge. That's why you see they build these houses as though they are going to put animals in those houses. They are not building those houses as though they are going to live in it. How can you build a house? No greenery, no nothing. The ventilation is poor. Because they build these houses strictly for Nigerians in the diaspora. Most of these people, they don't see the houses. They just pay and list it on rent. They are not going to live in it. So the developers are a major problem, and the developers have to look into themselves and stop this greed and overpricing and dilapidated structures.
Even just the access to potable water in some of these houses where you're paying exorbitant fees is asking for too much. Quality of when it's rainy season, the drainage system in these luxury apartments, your walls are leaking. It's terrible. But we'll not stop talking about it and holding the stakeholders to account. Thank you, Scott Iguma, for not just for joining us, but also being a voice that calls out the irregularities in the real estate sector. Thank you for your time with us. All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Now, this is still Breakfast Central. Thank you for joining us so far. Let's share with you what is still to come this morning.
Still to come here on Breakfast Central. Federal government to commence issuance of e-visas to foreigners on May 1st. We have the front pages of the newspapers. And don't forget too, back to the drawing board. Yes, let's see why there are not so much or so many marriages in the States.
Welcome back to Breakfast Central. This is Breakfast Headlines, and I'm Olive Emodi. The federal government, in collaboration with the Edo State government, have set up a fact-finding committee to look into the circumstances surrounding the recent killings of 16 Kano-bound travelers in Uromi, the administrative headquarters of Esan Northeast local government area. Edo State Governor Senator Monday Okpeolo disclosed this when he received a high-power delegation from Kano State, led by the Deputy Governor of the state, Comrade Aminu Abdul Salam Gwarzo, at the government house in Benin City. Okpeolo said that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is not happy over what happened in Uromi, and he's determined to ensure the state and nation are safe for everybody to live and do business. Governor Okpeolo and the delegation from Kano also visited Uromi, where they met with members of the Hausa community in the area. The host communities of oil mining lease 25 in Kula Akukutoru local government area of Rivers State have expressed opposition to the resumption of oil exploration activities in the oil block without their involvement or consent. They are demanding that their concerns and interests be addressed before any further exploration or production activities take place. The host communities of OML are insisting the Shell community must remediate polluted environment from its over 50+ years of operation and leave a clean slate for the Renaissance Group before they will be allowed to resume exploration in their community.
We have not seen any significant improvement from Shell. We have told Renaissance our experience with Shell, and that Shell have so much liabilities with us and several issues that have not been settled. The same thing applicable to other Niger Delta communities. The remediations, they have not done. There are a lot of remediations work to be done. But now that Shell is going, we have told them we will not cooperate until those liabilities are accepted.
The All Progressives Congress has announced that its national secretariat in Abuja, popularly known as Buhari House, will be kept under lock and key as from Monday, April the 14th. This is in honor of its Director of Administration, Abdul Rauf Adeniji, who was murdered after being kidnapped weeks ago. The party advised all staff to use the mourning period for sober reflection and prayers for the family and the deceased's loved ones. APC added that a condolence register will be opened in his honor. The Nigerian Railway Corporation has suspended train services on the Warri-Itakpe rail line for 72 hours due to multiple technical issues, including a train engine failure. This is coming following a disruption of service on Tuesday, April the 8th, 2025, and affected both the 8 a.m. departure from Warri and the 2 p.m. train from Itakpe. According to a statement signed by the Public Relations Officer, Henrietta Eregari, the NRC has swiftly activated emergency recovery protocols, but the process was hindered by additional engine failures. While the statement notes that NRC has evacuated all passengers safely and provided alternative transportation, it adds that those with tickets will be refunded or revalidation will be made for future travel. The federal government has predicted heavy rains and floods in 30 states and the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. The high flood risk states are Abia, Adamawa, Akwa Ibom, Anambra, Bauchi, Bayelsa, Benue, Borno, Cross River, Delta, Ebonyi, Edo, Gombe, Imo, Jigawa, Kebbi, Kogi, Kwara, Lagos, Nasarawa, Niger, Ogun, Ondo, Osun, Oyo, Rivers, Sokoto, Taraba, Yobe, Zamfara, and the Federal Capital Territory. The Minister of Water Resources and Sanitation, Joseph Utsef, said coastal and riverine flooding will be experienced in some parts of the South-South geopolitical zone of the country due to a rise in sea levels. And that's all we have this morning on Breakfast Headlines. We'll now reconnect with Breakfast Central. I am Olive Emodi.
Welcome back to Breakfast Central. Let's go straight to the front pages of the papers. And we do have, of course, seasoned journalist who's here with us, Mr. Bibaruna. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for joining us on Breakfast Central.
Let us go straight to the very first one. The Punch newspaper is where we're going to, and you can call in to be part of this Friday's conversation on the front pages. Marketers predict cheaper petrol nationwide.
Amen.
That's good news.
Yes. Begins Naira sale. You see, I'm reading it with so much
joy
and excitement. Refinery slashes loading costs to 865 Naira after Naira for crude deal. Fuel depot prices to fall. What's your take on this?
I think it will be too early to pump champagne.
Ew. Wow.
It just dampened my spirit. No. I did not. I'm just saying that we should be cautious. Should be more circumspect in looking at this issue. Now, what it means is that once Dangote says A, the market will be affected. Now, I was saying yesterday on the program that I was never a fan of Dangote refinery.
Is it because
mainly
of the
because
monopoly?
if you look at Dangote, its antecedents in the cement sector, in the sugar sector, in the salt sector. Anything it says or do affects the price. So that presupposes that what we are saying is that any time Dangote says anything, all of us will be affected. The price of oil will be affected. So the onus is on government, and I'm serious, and the error is on government to make sure that the interest of consumers, the interest of Nigerians, is well protected. All of a sudden, they stop this Naira for crude agreement. Then they're not back on the table.
That's after someone was fired.
Yes, and I was thinking that before the thing expires, there should have been another meeting. This gentlemen were extending it. There was no meeting. That was not extended. Then it stopped. Started paying more for fuel. Now, they met 2 days ago, and they agreed temporarily. The Dangote is now saying, okay, price will go down. I don't think Nigeria should be subjected to the wheels and crab prices of an individual. Not what we are saying. An individual that is a businessman, a business that Nigeria also contributed to its establishment. So in the long run, this thing will affect us. Temporarily respite, yes, you'll be paying little.
But the market is open for anybody.
In the long run, these guys will decide everything that we're buying.
It's a fault on Dangote, or is it not the government that has the responsibility to ensure that they're able to guarantee pump price of petrol, not just affordable for Nigerians, but also accessible, the products being accessible as well. Before Dangote stepped into the market, remember that last year, what we experienced was scarcity upon scarcity. There was a scarcity that lasted for as long as 2 months.
Absolutely.
We haven't had that since Dangote stepped into the market.
And what more worrisome is the fact that our 4 refineries are still not working. We are not looking at that. But refineries are working. Dangote will not be the sole.
But they said worry is working.
Person that will decide our fate. We have Kaduna, we have Warri, we have Port Harcourt.
Port Harcourt, yeah.
2 in Port Harcourt. They are not working yet. Why are they not working? They are pumping billions of dollars. Let the media put the government on the stones. Why are the refineries not working? If they are working, Dangote will not be the sole person that will decide our fate.
So, Mr. Abra, that's why I agree with the fact that it's not solely Dangote's fault.
Is it even Dangote's fault?
I mean, the industry has been deregulated. If the government do their own job, we will not be celebrating that we happily reading 865.
If I'm paying more, who do I blame? I'm a consumer, rational consumer for that matter.
Absolutely.
So I will normally blame the next person. Because if you look at the price of cement, before those guys came into Iboa and Co. and make it competitive, the man was deciding the price.
He's a businessman. That's
what the government has a duty to protect
Exactly. So let's put the onus where the onus lies.
So our duty here, as journalists, to make sure that government, come, what are you doing to protect us from these people who are shallows? We operate.
Okay, let's move on to the Nigerian Tribune. The front page of the Nigerian Tribune, so many stories there, but I'm just going to pick growing disaffection in PDP puts party's future in doubt. May NEC meeting in limbo, national leadership unable to meet and act, postpones North Central and South and Southwest Congresses. PDP, what is going on? It feels like every party, one day is one party, another day is another party. Do you think that the PDP's house is in order? We had Mr. Shegun Showumi some days back, and he talked about the party, and basically, I think in some sense, downplayed whatever internal
happens in every family.
Saying that it happens in every family.
No, Showumi is a member of the party. Me, I'm an observer, a modern casual observer for that matter. And I'm telling you that what you are seeing in PDP is what you are also seeing in Labour Party. And what you may see in SDP, now the opposition will coalesce into to fight, to battle the APC. Unfortunately, we have politicians that are opportunistic. They're not pragmatic. If they're pragmatic, they will know that they have to come together to fight an omnibus, which is the APC. The PDP have internal crisis, being sponsored and influenced by outsiders.
People are pumping billions into PDP so that they will not be united before the next election. Likewise, Labour Party. Before Obi emerges, Labour Party was nowhere. Obi came into it and became a prince. Amulet and a prince. You cannot add Amulet without a prince. He became the prince, and the party became very popular. The obedience emerged, and people like me, my children said, "No, Daddy, you are an APC. We are a Labour Party. We have voted on this street. People that they never voted before came to vote. And there will be one last slide there. So the people that power that be, they don't want a repeat of that kind of scenario.
So you think that this is targeted?
My sister, what we are saying in Labour Party and PDP are foot soldiers who have been planted in these parties to make them not to work, to make them disunited before the next election. You look at what is going on in PDP. Look at Wike. When they interview Atiku Abubakar, why have you not been able to expel Wike? Atiku was helpless.
Showumi's explanation to that is the fact that Wike, first of all, is not on the offensive, that Wike is responding to the actions from them, and that Wike played politics as politics should be played. For example, when they reached out to him to come and serve in the APC, he wrote letters to his party at the state level, at the national level, to get their blessing, so that he's smart about the way that he plays his politics.
Why is the party finding it difficult to expel him? Why is Wike sponsoring the acting chairman? Why is Wike making sure that the NWC did not meet and NEC did not meet? That's what I'm saying.
I mean, last time
Wike is serving a APC government. We cannot expect Wike to do anything in the interest of the party, of PDP. So we are the men. I've heard it before on this program. If the opposition parties fail to come together, fail to be united, one, they'll be able to produce a coherent response to the misgovernance we are seeing from the APC. They'll be able to get united and fight the battle ahead.
When you say united, are you talking of them coming together in a coalition?
As a party, one, you cannot form a coalition without organizing yourself as a party. You have to come to the table with your position as a united force. So, united force, PDP, SDP, and Labour Party.
NNPP.
The way they are now,
NNPP. NNPP is also having crisis too.
Absolutely.
From the east.
They are also trying to, so yeah. I don't know. It's unfortunate.
So what can these parties do to prevent infiltrators and fifth element?
You cannot prevent it because of the structure you have on ground. The structure of people that don't believe, don't have a philosophy.
So the opposition
don't have a coherent and strong ideology. What is a political party? Political party, in definition, is coming together of people with the same ideology, with the aim of forming the government. That's not a political party and a political science. So if we're coming together with the same ideology to form government, then you believe in that ideology. And that is why you see in some climes, people cannot just defect. No, because they believe in the strong ideology.
Yeah, strong.
You know, welfareism, workers, making sure that people are well paid, making sure that social contract is well maintained. These are the principles of, and the other party is conservative. They have share different ideologies and they believe in it. But in Nigeria, what is the ideology? What is the ideology? And the problem is that what people are not looking at, I'm worried. The future of our country is at stake. The future of democracy is at stake. When some leaders who are in power are hell-bent in destroying opposition. But say something now, that why can't they come together? They come together because they are people that believe in at the immediate. They collect money to
stomach infrastructure.
Yeah,
look at Akpakpa, for example.
Like they say in the picture, anywhere below face.
And the chairman of the LP, that old man,
the third chairman,
that joker. So that's what they're saying. So we have to come together. You see, that's why I like this your station. You see, you focus on making sure that things that help in building this country, developing this country.
Thank you for
governance. No, I watch your program all the time, even online. So you guys should keep it up. We should be more interested in Nigeria's future.
Yeah.
And if these people are not united, it's politicians. Right? We're being a very big mess.
Thank you.
Benga.
Yeah, let's look at the next newspaper, the Daily Trust newspaper. The headline there: Tinubu's appointments, presidency's defense backfires. So the presidency's response to, I believe it was Senator Ali Ndume, who raised the point of selective appointments that lacks federal character. And the president's spokesperson says that we will continue to be, that the appointments are merit-based, integrity, geographical spread, and a demonstrable capacity to serve. They also said, I mean, he had many things to say about Senator Ndume. He said, how did two of Ndume's kinsmen clinch top NNPC roles? He said, as a politician, this is Bayo Nanuga that I'm quoting here, Ndume has proven time and again that he is allergic to facts and addicted to theatrics. He's happy to firing half-baked criticisms only to be contradicted by facts. Proves he's more interested in headline chasing, rabble-rousing, stoking divisive narratives than offering constructive criticism. He said this behavior is a disservice to the nation and is least expected from a Nigerian senator, just for, you know, sharing his opinion on national issues. What do you make of Senator Ndume's criticism and also Bayo?
I think Ndume has no grant to follow the appointments of the current administration. You know, I'm an APC member, and I think appointment should be based on merit. Yes, the constitution allowed that. The geographical area should also be a consideration. You know, where your base of state be a consideration, but mainly it should be based on merit. They can promote.
So how do you have the balance between merit and geographical spread?
It can be done. You can look at the government of Jonathan. Look at Obasanjo. That's the best guy, the first 11. You know, you have to pick your first 11 if you want to produce results. And you see, the power of the social media is what prompted the president to come out yesterday. Presidency.
Yes.
To come out yesterday with a response to Ndume's reservation about what is going on. And they came out poorly. So in public relations, there are times that you keep quiet.
Silence is golden.
Absolutely, it can be golden at times. But this time around, the guys came out without their facts. Even I said, what are you talking about? Where is Egbetokun? Other people that are from the southwest, you know. So did not provide enough.
Was an own go.
Absolutely, not enough fact. Enough fact. So I think Buhari was worse off.
Yeah.
Buhari appointment was very, very
a lot of the defense we've been seeing is, you know, speak to Buhari started it, but is there a way to move forward?
Buhari was worse off, was completely. But I think the leaders in this country should be mindful of the ethnic and religious balancing factors that should make. Because
are there any advantages to it? Because I'm wondering why they tend to do.
Well, to me, there is nothing in it. What is the man in the street benefit? What does it benefit? That is the point. It is an elite game. They do this thing to satisfy themselves by the top. They do not really percolate to people in the street. People are supposed to benefit from it. People don't believe. People don't really care about who you appoint as chief of staff or the first minister. If there is security in my village, you know, if there is food on my table, if there is employment for the youths, if you can give people what they want. So these are the things that should be uppermost in our consideration.
Okay, too many things to look at in the papers. I don't know if we still have time to take one more paper. Let's look at the Leadership newspaper. On the front page of the Leadership, 2025 flood in 1,249 communities face high risk, federal government warns. 2,187 others to experience moderate flood. 30 states marked red. In fact, when we're reading the news, when I was reading all the states, I should have just said every state in Nigeria except 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You know, because I don't know. Nema is saying that we're on alert and that we should be prepared for emergencies. But do you think that we're adequately prepared? Do you think that we've had enough sensitization about the tendency of these floods to overtake Nigeria?
Very fine question. I'm sure you live in Lekki.
I do. As I read it, my heart was cutting.
You should be worried.
I am worried.
I live on the mainland.
So you're not worried?
I'm well protected. You know, but coming back to the question, which I think is very, very instructive, is that yesterday the news was everywhere. they came out with this alarming report that people should be prepared. Many states should be prepared. But monetary states be affected. I think it's good. I think they're coming out with this report at the right time so that states. But what I heard yesterday was that, apart from the report, they're informing the various states to prepare, to put in measures to prevent and also make sure that anything this thing happens, they are ready to deal
cushion
with
it. See, just yesterday, the rain that fell was barely 45 minutes. My estate was flooded.
No, these are flash floods. There are flash floods.
So those ones are different.
We know, as a reporter, Minister of Environment in Lagos State, tell us that there is flash floods. It happens anywhere in the world.
However,
anywhere in the world.
However,
the question that is asked,
is it preparing? Are we prepared?
So the alarm has been said and been raised. The state government
is it not too late to prepare now?
Pardon?
Is it not too late to prepare?
We have a preparation every year.
You can always prepare against it.
So what will preparation look like? That's another thing.
We build an ark.
Because in Nigeria we are not advanced yet in terms of weather forecast and preparations. Before you travel abroad, what I read, what you read on the internet, you check your weather report. To know if you should go with your umbrella or your raincoat.
Except in London, because it
can happen. So
erratic.
Nigeria is becoming to be aware of that. Not just go back. Climate change. But I think it's very very good question. The states affected should take precautionary measures.
What are these measures?
Making sure that the areas that are affected are well informed. Keep on telling them already.
So if they tell me now, so what will I now do? Will I now pack my load and say,
you tell them, then you also prepare the area that they can go to.
Yeah, bag, your escape plan.
In Lagos, for example, they go to a place in Ekpe.
Highland.
Highland. Go to Ekpe. Yes. So I think we are coming to.
And even the clearing of drainages, because there are a number of drainages that are still blocked.
They just started clearing drainages.
If you notice, they've been going around. If you look at even mainland, they've been removing those.
Just 2 days ago. Is it not too late?
No, not 2 days ago.
In some areas, I mean,
I know of Lagos. Lagos is always ready. Those things. The Ministry of Environment have enough technical staffs, engineers, even the commissioner. They are ready for all these things.
But what about other states? I mean, let's give it to Lagos.
The thing is that people are very stubborn. They build in these areas, this part, and water will find its way.
So, but it's beyond people being stubborn. Who gave them the approval to build there?
No, they will do it. And when you go and destroy it, they will say, now we go to social media. No, I'm telling you, that's the challenges that government is facing. So I think you should extend it to other states. They should also be more ready. They should be prepared.
All right.
So the media has a duty. Put them on their toes.
I agree. We could also take it as
like
a
short
as
jingle
well. As we're wrapping things up, just in 1 minute, assassination allegations, Akpabio petitions, AGF, IGP demands Natasha's prosecution.
That's the right thing to do. That's the right thing to do. Allegations were made by Natasha when she went to Kogi State that Akpabio, in connivance with former governor and the current governor, attempted to kill her. So the police should invite Natasha. Come on, give us evidence. The allegation you allege was proof. So I think that's the right thing to do. And I think the Senate President is going through the right path, right channel to seek redress. This woman is maligning my integrity, so I need to be. The police should investigate. And she said she has her facts. So she should provide her facts.
The truth will favor all of us. Let everything come to the fore.
Exactly, everybody.
To the police. But I'm not comfortable, I said it before and I've said it again, with Akpabio as the head of a legislature. Akpabio is not providing enough leadership.
Beyond the Natasha
Absolutely, issue. To make sure that the executive is well checkmated. Because it is when you have an executive that is
completely independent of the legislature,
independent.
Yeah.
For the sake of the country. At the same time, anytime they are going wrong, never mind.
That's the principle of what checks and balances ought to have been. But interestingly, our legislature is standing on the mandate of the executive. The supremacy of the rulers over and the ruled. But unfortunately, the legislature is standing on the mandate. Standing on the mandate of the executive. But Happy Barina, thank you for your time with us this morning.
It was a pleasure.
It's always a pleasure to have you. We'll be taking you to the drawing board. Important conversations today. On this set, some people are not married while some are married. Why are people still single in Nigeria? Why are people still single? Johansson will tell
I'm
you.
looking forward to this conversation, and I have a lot to say.
All right, so we're back on the drawing board after a long time today. It's Friday, the weekend starts today. Everybody's ready to, boogie down. But there seems to be a problem. We decided to carry out a survey, a data survey that would focus on why weddings have all of a sudden, gone down in terms of, the party and the like. So why is there a wedding weekend drought? We have an economic impact analysis. This analysis was sincerely done by us here at Breakfast Central. We involved the vendors, the wedding planners, the food, name them, decor and so on. And they did speak to us and told us categorically that it has really dropped. If you look at the board right now, it's 60 to 40%, just to quickly write it down for, for clarity. The 60 simply shows that the people who are actually having their weddings has dropped from, let's say, 100% to 60, and 40% have not really been engaging in having weddings like they would normally have done. But let me run through some of the graphics for you to see very clearly on the screen. I'm going to start off first by going back 10 years to see what it was like from way back. I'm going to start off with 10 years. 10 years ago, we'll start off with the venue prices and not the decoration price. Let's start with the venue prices. Venue prices 10 years ago, you would get a venue for 400,000 naira. 400,000 naira would give you a venue that will have 150 to 200 guests. Yes, I'm talking about 10 years ago. 600,000 naira, you'd get a venue that would cater to 200 to 300 guests. And then a big venue, so big, would go for 900,000 naira. Yes, that's exactly what you would pay for if you're going for a guest of about 350 to 600. Now, these venues would include setup time, duration, cleaning, and of course, some of the venues would also offer you sound. That's what you would get way back. Aside from the venue, let's also check out another one. This time, let's look at what you would get today. Today, the prices are different. That was before. Today, a venue that will cater to 100 and 150 guests, you're paying close to 1.5 million. Yes. And not just that, you also have a venue that will cater to 200 to 300 guests, you're paying 3 million. If you have not been married yet, just take note. If you are going to have a huge crowd of about 350 people to 600 people, you're going to pay 5 million naira for the venue. That's the price. And guess what? These days, you have to pay for setup time. They'll give you fee for setup time. You pay for that. You also pay for cleaning hours. Everything it's not inclusive like it used to be before. And then they give you a duration. So it means that if you pay for the venue, you have 8 hours. They say if you exceed the 8 hours, you have to pay because diesel is expensive. They also have options of you bringing your generator to the venue. Problem. Well, if you think you want to get married, you might want to think very carefully about how much you're going to spend. Let's go back again to decoration price. In the past, if you're going to have a beautiful decor and so on and so forth, decoration now goes for about, let's start off from the past, 4 million. You decorate a nice hall for 100 to 150 people, 6 million for 200 to 300 people, and then 9 million to 300 to 600 guests. Binga, that's what people are ready to pay today. Decoration prices, yes, you pay as high as 6.5 up to 9 million and so on and so forth.
So this is the price for today, right?
Yes, today.
Are they decorating with gold, frankincense, and myrrh?
Now, there was a tweet. There was a tweet that went viral whereby a lady put up. She said she had a venue and she asked the decor, "I want to decorate this venue. It's big, it's huge. The hall was going to take about 1,500," and she got the price, 200 million, just for decoration.
That's ridiculous.
And the lady said, "This 200 million, does it include my food and everything?" She said, "No, just for decor." So where are we going to with this? Well, our data and our research shows that anybody who is ready to get married now, I'm going to count back to 11 years ago. I used 1.4 million to get married. 1.4 million.
That's a lot of money back then.
1.4 million to get married. It was a decent wedding. I had about 500 people. I cannot try that today, okay?
That can't even pay for some decor.
No, it can't even pay for drinks.
Wow.
Yeah.
That can't speak for your
500 people.
And people need to get married. I mean,
you need to be careful.
Young bachelors watching us now.
Exactly.
What sort of message does this send?
So
what
that's
are
why
the
you have
options?
single
What are the
men
options?
all over Lagos. You have single men all over Lagos. You have women who are also, you know, just thinking, because I hate to break the bad news. I think you might have to cut down on your dream wedding, okay? Because you cannot outdo or outshine the other weddings. The weddings that were done 10 years ago. Now, have you noticed, weddings have dropped. That's what our data shows.
We're seeing a lot of intimate weddings.
Intimate weddings now. We have people who are doing intimate weddings. They go to the court, they sign, they just take a few friends, 50 people, 40 people. They go to Tola's house, they set up the flower, they take pictures, do videos.
Weddings.
Or garden weddings.
And that doesn't invalidate the quality of the marriage. I think what's very you know, what happens after the wedding and the whole ceremony is actually what matters, right? But also, again, it's really important that you highlighted this. In fact, I think you were being a bit too generous.
Yeah, I'm just being generous with it.
Because with the venue, I did an event recently, and the venue for 35 people was 2.3 million in Lekki for 35 people. So what you see is that, and that's not the most expensive venue. There are other venues. People are doing 2 million, 3 million for venues. So by the time you've done your venue, then you talk about your decoration, you talk about food, DJ. You know, and these days, even with food, it's not just one course. You're doing small chops to start, and then you're doing
photography too.
People are using
videography, and then there's content creators.
People are using chin-chin now to just suppress, you know, chin-chin to hold, because you know it's systematic. It's let me say it here. When people load their tummy with chin-chin, they're a bit bloated. With granite.
Wisdom.
Then you give them some small drink.
We have other options here, like the Kano State government mass weddings, where they give you bed and other things to make your marriage soft.
Like, you reach my turn, you want to do mass weddings.
Because we have a colleague behind it. We have a colleague behind the scenes. Let me not call his name. He's a rich man, but he's almost shedding tears. He's a bachelor. I feel for him.
Let's do the math. Venue, let's say you're getting a venue, just budget 3 million for a venue. You're looking for a crowd of, let's say, 500.
500?
Yes.
Where do you want to get?
Do you know 500 people?
Okay.
Why?
Hold on. I'm going to tell you why. But let's leave it at 300, all right? Venue. Decor. Now.
Decor should be like...
This is today's price.
Let's say
decor
1.5 or 2M.
No. You can't get that. Your decor, it's going to about 4 million.
Decor is
more than the venue.
Chairs, the table. Oh yes.
Wow.
Bear in mind, this is the tiniest venue. Okay, it's not awesome. It's not amazing. It's just there.
But it's on the island.
Still be hidden costs.
On the mainland, I think venues are
3 million. There's diesel. You have the caution fee. You have the caution fee. You have to pay. But I'm just making it easier. I'm telling you the barest minimum.
Okay, let's
300 people.
Okay, so
not
food.
in the high rise, not in the biggest place.
So let's do
somewhere.
food. I know somebody who does
I can tell you for food. I can
3M.
tell you. Exactly.
Because they'll do 10K per head.
Then drinks. Drinks is different.
Drinks will be like 5K, so 5 times 3 will
let's
be
say roughly,
1.5
let's leave it at 2 million. 2 million, roughly.
Photography?
Photography, videography, everything. Let's leave it at 1.8. You could still, you know, get someone who would manage and do everything for you. And then you have entertainment. Entertainment, if you're going for live band, DJ and all that, everything should go. I mean, as an MC, you know, you should be charging.
Oh, you did not put MC inside?
Yeah, everything under entertainment. Let's leave it at under entertainment. So roughly, you should be looking at,
let's say maybe 2 to 3 M. Depending.
Bigger. 4.
Why is the MC not there?
7. No, under entertainment, we put everybody there.
It depends on the quality of the MC.
Yeah, I mean,
Olive, what's your charge?
10.
Anyone
12,
who wants to know my charge should come 13. And send me a DM.
So you need close to 15 million as a bachelor in Lagos and Abuja.
You haven't even spoken, so this is just for the whole thing. You haven't talked about their suits, their ashoke,
no,
the show.
There's nothing about
that one. About the behind the scenes.
But it's not all doom and gloom, guys. Look at it like an investment. Do you think you can make this money back? It depends on your quality of
just
friends.
to get
when
married
spraying
today,
you,
15
have you
million.
not seen weddings when they spray you?
So we don't spray money again. Okay, actually, we do pseudo currency to spray money.
Yeah, or you put it in an envelope.
With these few points of Johansson's,
Well, you just need 15 million, bottom line, if you want to get married today. If you decide to bring it down to about
15 million stuff is
7 million, yeah, that could be the barest. Maybe you just invite 50 people. And
see, at the end of the day, everybody work within your budget. If your budget allows you to do your wedding in your living room or to go to Ikoyi registry, sign with your family and friends, do nice pictures.
That's why we don't have weddings.
One-bed
pictures and videos have reduced on social media. Have you noticed?
As for those that are getting married, where una they see this money? Anyway, Joe, thank you for bringing us this numbers on drawing board. Tomorrow is Saturday. There'll still be more weddings regardless of distance, and I'll go on their comment section.
And for those that are already in marriages, keep your home happy, because you don't want to divorce and do this wedding again with your current economic realities.
And for those of us that are still single, God will help us.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks guys for watching.
We are done today. We'll see you again on Monday. Have a wonderful weekend.
Shout out to all the bachelors, especially rich men.
Yeah.
That's right.